like, well, picking a song isn't the funnest part because I'm not a big fan of that. But because I just go through the recommendations, right? Like the things that TikTok has in here when I go to make a video on TikTok. I don't usually edit or film in TikTok. So it'll give me like a bunch of choices. So I'll just scroll through, and as soon as I find something, my deal with myself is the first thing that I hear that I enjoy, that's the thing. I turn on the camera and I just dance. I don't think about it too hard. I don't try to find a different song. I don't try to make it right. I just dance, record, and then put the little velocity thing on it because I'm having way too much fun. So those are going to be a daily thing now, apparently. I'm going to spam TikTok with dancing videos. I guess that's what TikTok is for, right? That's what this is actually for. That's what this platform is actually for. I mean, it's for other things too. We have plenty of shenanigans and other things like that too, right? Okay, looks like we are live on YouTube. So, hello YouTube. Let's get Kick going as well. So I am putting them out there for myself, right? These videos, I'm putting them out there for myself because I am, like I said, genuinely enjoying waking up to whatever music is trending. Again, I'm not really a music or really radio person. Like, I don't know. I'm that guy who just listens to like frequencies and mantras and stuff like that now. So it's a fun thing to get back into music. Universal Vibes. Hey, I was gonna send you a Discord link. Yes. So, did you send me a message? That's usually the place to send. You got to send me a message, and if you did send me a message and then I still didn't get back to you, well, then that's on me, and I'm sorry about that. But would you do me a favor and send me a message about it? Because when I'm in the middle of the live, I'm not tracking who's in here. I mean, you know, when I'm done, my brain just goes, "You're done. What did we do? What did we do? How did that go? I think it went well. I think we're all right." Okay, he'll send me a message. Okay, thank you. I'm noticing that with Discord, even when I put a forever link, I'm noticing that the Discord link still like ends up refreshing and not working. So please let me know, guys. Remember that this is a one-woman show back here, and I do receive some support, so I don't want to forget about that. I do receive some support from some really amazing people, moderators, and some people helping me on the tech side and whatnot. But for the most part, I'm saddling all the horses. So if you find something like a link that's broken, or a video that has something funny in it, or I don't know, be my eyes and ears, you guys. I love you guys so much, and I appreciate all the support and encouragement. Okay, but I wanted to edit one last thing here. Come on, edit. We're late for class now, D. We are. I am. But that's okay. I wanted to get everybody up and running. All right, we are now live on YouTube, Instagram, Kick, and Twitch, as best I can tell. Nope, Twitch. One more. I have only had a couple of sips of my coffee. Jay, am I okay? I've only had a couple of sips of my coffee, but boy, I'm going a mile a minute. A million miles a minute. Good morning, y'all. Regal Poison, I saw your message and wanted to get back to you, but I will chat with you after class. Do, 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 do. And a strange song has been stuck in my head for days. Feel the rain on your skin. No one else can feel it for you. Only you can let it in. Today is where your book begins. The rest is still unwritten. Hey, Maggie. That's the song that's been in my head. Besitos, mijo. All right. Really, I do have plans for today, I swear. This is not just me turning on the camera to sing random nonsense at it. Let's try not to sit on the cat. Everybody, there's a kitten. The challenge today is to not sit on him. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Come on, baby, say you love me. 5, 6, 7 times. 8, 9, 10, 11. I'm just gonna keep on counting until you are mine. I love you, my son, and I love your shenanigans. But would you do me a favor? And quit trying to distract me. My son's running in front of the hallway here, so I keep seeing him pop out. Okay. You guys ready? I have my flow, I have my donut holes, and we'll get to this. Find the right angle. Sorry guys, it's a small space. Okay. Try not to yell at everybody. I remember it's a small space. For those of you who would like to join me for class, hello, my friends. For those of you new here, my name is Reverend Deborah. I'm an interfaith minister, a movement facilitator, and dubbed your shenanigan shaman. This is our tiny yoga class. What is tiny yoga? It is essentially chair yoga wherever you're at. So if you have somewhere to put your butt, that's all you need. As long as you've got a little bit of room to move around, that's all you need as well. If your mobility is limited, again, move space to move around in your space or space to move around in your body. This is a nice gentle flow. We're going to go for about 30 minutes. Ra, you're a goose? Silly goose. Gooses can do chair yoga too. So come on, find yourself a place to put your goose bottom. Find the edge of your seat and find the ground with your feet. It's okay if you're wearing shoes or sandals or whatever. If you can kick off your shoes, go for it. If not, just bring your awareness down to the bottom of your feet. And we're going to take 3 deep breaths to fully arrive for our practice with the awareness down in our feet. And I invite you to inhale the breath, pulling the breath through the nose, through the lungs, into the belly, and all the way down to your feet. And sigh it out. Inhale again, expanding the ribcage in all directions, front, sides, and back, filling your entire torso with breath. And exhale. Inhale again to lift the heart and lift through the top of the head to elongate the spine. Exhale to gently melt the shoulder blades down the back. And press the right big toe briefly into the ground and release. Press the left big toe briefly into the ground and release. Press the right heel into the ground and release. Left heel into the ground and release. Right pinky toe into the ground and release. Left pinky toe into the ground and release. All 10 toes at the same time. Press them into the ground briefly and release. Both feet, the entirety of both feet. Press them into the ground and gently release. And we're going to move up to our head. So go ahead and just start with some neck rolls. Go ahead and choose whatever works for you. You can look side to side, up and down. I encourage you to match the breath with whichever movement you're doing. So if you're inhaling the chin up Then exhale the chin down. If you're turning side to side, exhale as you gaze over the shoulder. Excuse me. Inhale as you gaze over the shoulder. Exhale as you come back to neutral. If you're rolling your head, drop your chin. Inhale one direction. And exhale as it comes back down and around. We're just warming into the muscles here. I encourage you to just feel into your shoulders, into your neck. There's not any sort of need for popping your neck, and there's no chiropractic adjustments in here. We're just saying hello to the muscles, just warming up and noticing where we're at today. Try to keep those movements symmetrical. So if you're turning to one side, then turn to the other. Go ahead and come back to neutral, and we're going to move into the shoulders. Same thing here. I encourage you to roll in one direction or the other. You can also alternate them if that works for you. Feel into your shoulder muscles. Notice where any tension is, and as you exhale, each time you exhale, I invite you to release that tension. Inhale the awareness into your shoulders. Exhale any tension you find there. Back to neutral. And we're going to move into torso circles. So choosing one direction, moving your entire torso in a big circle. So imagine that your tailbone is a spoon rolling around that bowl that is your pelvic floor. Go one direction. Get the entire upper body engaged, curling your shoulders, curling the side body, arching the spine, and switch directions. Honor where you are in the moment. Meet yourself with love and compassion. Come back to center. Place your hands on the chair or your seat and just drop your knees to one side and then to the other. We're just going to windshield wiper the knees a little bit to loosen up the knees and the hips and the ankles. Elongate the spine, lift through the top of the head. Keep that good posture. Come back to neutral, and then with the right foot, interlace the fingers underneath your right thigh, or just go ahead and bring your foot directly out. I'm out of view again. Point your foot, and we're going to go point, flex, point, flex. You can either support the leg with your fingers, or you can scoot back on your chair, or you can stay on the edge of your chair and support it with just the strength of your leg and abdomen. Point, flex, point, flex, point, flex, point, flex. Do a couple of rolls in one direction and the other. And release the leg down, keeping the foot flexed. Take a deep breath in as you elongate the spine, and exhale to slowly fold down toward this leg. Half splits. Take 3 deep breaths here. Keeping that foot flexed. And slowly roll up on the next inhale. Bring the knees back to 90 degrees, shoulder width apart. Left leg this time. Again, several options. You can just extend the leg by itself. You can scoot back on your chair, or you can support it with your hands, with your interlaced fingers underneath the thigh. Flex, point, flex, point, flex, point, flex, point, flex, point, flex, and gently release the foot down to the floor for a half splits. Again, inhale, elongate the spine. Exhale to slowly fold into the half Hanumanasana. Nice half splits here, forward fold. Take 3 deep breaths down here. Last one, fully exhale in the fold. And then Slowly roll up on the next inhale. Bring the knees back to shoulder width apart. Stack the knees directly over the ankles if it's available within the seat that you are in. Interlace your fingers and press the palms up towards the ceiling, stretching the hands a bit. And then gently inhale and gently sway to one side. Little side stretch. Breathe. Come back to neutral. Inhale and exhale down to the other side. Take several breaths here. Little side stretch. Inhale back up. Exhale, releasing one arm and going back into the other side. Stretch, resting that arm either on your seat on the bed or using whatever support beside you is available. If there's no support beside you, cross your arm to the other knee to support your torso as you bend into a slightly deeper stretch. While you're here, inhale and exhale to gaze up past the armpit. Try not to offend yourself. Breathe. Come up on the next inhale. And release the arm. Other side. Inhale, sweeping the other arm up, open and wide. And exhale for that side stretch. Just a little bit deeper this time. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, gazing past your armpit. Inhale back up to neutral. Sweep both arms up in front, palms together overhead. And then turn the torso. This time we're going to go to the right. Turn the torso towards the right, just to the extension of the torso, without any pressure to push it further into this twist. And then exhale to open the arms, leaving the front arm on the outside of the front knee. So if you're turning to the right, that's the outside of your right knee. Left arm on the outside of your right knee. Right arm behind you. Deep breath, elongate the spine, lift through the top of the head. And exhale to gaze over that back shoulder to turn into the twist. Take 3 deep breaths here. Keep the integrity of the spine, nice long spine. Keeping your knees facing forward, not turning with your torso. And on that last exhale, go ahead and gently return to neutral. Hey, Vada, good morning. We're going to go for the other side. Palms together, go ahead and sweep those hands up in front of you and overhead. And exhale to twist the torso to the left. And open the arms. Right arm to the outside of your left knee. Keep those knees facing forward, hips forward. Only the torso is turning. Release that left arm behind you. Inhale and exhale to gaze over that back shoulder. Keep the integrity of the spine, nice long spine. Big deep breaths. Letting the breath sink you deeper into the stretch without force. Exhale to come out on that third exhale. Slowly return to neutral. Go ahead and wiggle that out, your shoulders, your torso, and we're going to do a couple of cat-cows. Again, check with your knees, shoulder width apart, stacked over your ankles. Inhale for a little baby cow, a little baby cat. Chest forward, chin up. And exhale, tuck the chin and curve the spine. Just a little bit. Inhale forward a little bit deeper. Send that chest forward. This time tilt your tailbone as if you're going to waggle your tail a little bit. Lift your chin up towards the ceiling. Inhale and exhale. Curve the entire length of the spine, tucking your chin, rolling your back, and curving your tailbone. Inhale forward. Exhale back. Nice big movement here. Engage the entire spine. Inhaling forward, chin up, tailbone up, chest forward. And exhaling back to curve the entire spine. Tuck the chin, tuck the tailbone. 2 more. Inhale. And exhale. Last one. Inhale. And exhale. Go ahead and return to neutral. Place your palms up on your thighs and for a moment, rest. We're going to move into chair sun salutations. So it's a modified version of sun salutations. I encourage you to do these with as much intention as you put into your sun salutations. Okay. So, sun salutations, seated sun salutations. Bring your hands to prayer at your heart. Inhale, arms up, arching in the back, gazing up. Exhale, forward fold, arms out in front of you. Lay all the way down, either onto your knees, or you can open your knees and fold further. Inhale to roll up. As you're rolling up, grab that right knee and bring it up to your chest. Long spine. Exhale, fold to kiss the knee or to put the forehead to the knee. Inhale to release the knee and send the palms together back up into a back bend. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, left leg this time, lifting it up, elongating the spine. Squeezing to the chest. Exhale, forehead to knee. Inhale, release the leg, palms together, overhead, back bend. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale to slowly roll up. Again, palms together, back bend. And then bring the palms back down to the heart. Got that flow? Hey, Acid TV, how are y'all? All right, let's do that again. A couple more times. We will go through that round several times. It's a really nice flow when you get a good rhythm to it. I'm gonna do right and then left. Okay. Hey, Jeannie, how are you? We're going to do a couple more sun salutations, so I encourage you to join me, and then we will close our session with a little intentional pranayama and a few minutes with our mudra for the week. So we are almost done with class. Palms together. Let's go, my friends. Inhale, reaching up into the back bend. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, interlace the fingers underneath your right knee, long spine, squeeze into the chest. Exhale, forehead to knee. Inhale, release the knee, palms together, back bend. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, left knee, pulling it up to the chest, point the toe. Exhale, head to knee. Inhale, palms together, slight back bend. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, slowly roll up again to that palms together back bend. And bring the palms back down to the heart. Let's do 2 more. From here, let's start over. Inhale, palms together, back bend. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, slowly roll up, bringing the right knee with you, squeeze into the chest. Exhale, forehead to knee. Inhale, release the knee, palms together, slight back bend. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, slowly roll up with the left knee, bringing it up to the chest. Point the toe. Exhale, forehead to knee. Inhale, release the knee, palms together, slight back bend. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, slowly roll up all the way, palms together, back bend. And bring the hands down to the heart. Oh, I love it. Let's do it at least, let me see, what, 23? Okay, one more time, and then we will close with pranayama and mudra. Inhale, slight back bend. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, right knee up, point the toe. Squeeze to the chest. Exhale, forehead to knee. Inhale, release the knee, palms together, slight back bend. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, left knee up to the chest, point the toe. Exhale, forehead to knee. Inhale, release the knee, palms together, slight back bend. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, slowly roll up, sweeping the arms around overhead, palms together, slight back bend. Exhale, bring them down to the heart. Place your right hand on your heart. Your left hand on your heart, your right hand on your solar plexus. That's right, your upper belly area. That's just below your rib cage, that soft middle. Go ahead and begin just with your eyes closed and take some big, full, deep breaths. Dirga Pranayama, we're going to spend a few moments filling the torso with these inhales and then releasing every bit of breath on the exhale. Inhale, pulling the breath into the belly, into the lungs, into the collarbone. Exhale from the collarbone, from the lungs, from the belly. Inhale to the belly, lungs, collarbone. Exhale, collarbone, lungs, belly. A couple more breaths like this. Inhale, belly, lungs, collarbone. Exhale, collarbone, lungs, belly. Two more. Bring intention to your breath. Last one. On that last exhale, go ahead and open your eyes for a moment in case you need to watch the mudra here. This is the Surabhi Mudra, the cow mudra. This mudra is the mudra for generosity. It opens our solar plexus chakra. It clears the pathway for the energy of our innate gifts and unique talents and such to come through us. These are the inner gifts, the magic, the golden charms that we have to offer the world kind of stuff. This stuff comes up through the system, and this mudra really assists in that happening and clearing the pathway for that to happen. Works on bile disorders and cough, helps improve memory. So balances the air element in the body. So this is how we do it. Remember as we do it that we want to remember right over left, okay? Right over left. So we're going to start with the lower fingers. Hey, Byron, how are you? Bring your palms together and cross your right ring finger over the left. Right ring finger over the left. Now touch the opposite pinkies to the ring. So that's your left pinky to your right ring finger, right pinky to your left ring finger. Okay, so now you've got this little pattern fence thing here, right? We're going to do the same thing with the next fingers. Right middle over left. Left index touches right middle. Right index touches left middle. I encourage you, did you notice how I twisted my palms here? Feel free to twist your palms open to get those connections. Find those connections on your fingertips, even if you got to open your palms all the way like this. And then bring your thumbs together as close as you can. Now, usually we say no more than the weight of a nickel on any mudra. However, sometimes the mudra itself, by the nature of the position, it does create a little bit more tension. I encourage you to allow the mudra to find you, right? We're not trying to create force. We're not trying to create discomfort. We're not trying to create tension that would make it difficult for you to hold this mudra for an extended period of time, right? So this mudra can be held for any amount of time and doesn't have any serious contradictions that I came across. So this mudra, once you have it, once you've got it in your hands, bring it up to either the heart or to the sternum. Anchor it at the sternum, whether that's on the lower end of the sternum or up a little higher. We're going to just sit for 5 minutes. Oh, guys, don't worry. I think they're trolling. We're just going to sit for these 5 minutes here with our mudra to close our practice. So I encourage you to, if you want to lay down, you can do this one laying down. You can do this one while you're standing up. But I invite you in this space to just practice bringing your attention back to the present moment. Any thought that arises, any sensation that distracts you, any worry, any fear, any noise or child running around the house making silly faces at you, anything that you have going on, I encourage you to cultivate your attention on this practice. So we will sit, like I said, for 5 minutes. Got the time? Yep. Okay, so for 5 minutes, go ahead and close your eyes and just listen to your breath. Follow the inhale all the way to the top and the exhale all the way to the bottom. Allow the breath to rock you deeper into this space. And allow everything within you and outside of you to align with this rhythm of your breath. Inhale. Any thoughts, any sensations, any sounds. Exhale to release any attachment to any and all of them. Inhale. Listening to the breath. Exhale, releasing any tension. If your mind is extra busy, you can listen to the breath at the same time that you focus your attention on one of the connection points. I like to use the thumb in particular, or the place where the mudra is attached to the sternum. Just going to sit for 5 minutes, stay with the breath, stay with the practice, and anytime you notice that your mind has wandered off with itself, bring it back with curiosity, bring it back with willingness, bring it back with patience if you can muster it. But let go of the shame, the blame, the story, the guilt. The gift is in being present. The perfection is in the practice. Everything matching with the breath. As you sink deeper into this practice, I encourage you to allow the energy of this practice to rearrange your face, relaxing your jaw, allowing your lips to spread into a gentle smile, releasing any tension in your temples, in your ears, in your neck. Allowing your tongue to rest gently on the roof of your mouth. No need for control here. Just acceptance of what is. Following the inhale all the way to the top, following the exhale all the way to the bottom. I encourage you to stay with this practice or return to any part of the practice that feels appropriate to you, and stay with it for as long as you'd like to. When you feel complete, I invite you to bring your hands to prayer, or simply lay one over the other over your heart in gratitude for today's practice. In gratitude for this magnificent meat bag that we get to ride around in this lifetime. In gratitude for that universal source, prana, energy, life force that flows through everything in the universe, always moving through the path of least resistance to bring us to our highest good in every moment. Offer yourself some gratitude as well for taking the time for self-care today. I'm so proud of you, and I hope you feel it too. Thank you for joining me in this space and helping me cultivate this CAYA space where we can learn and grow and thrive together with lots of shenanigans. I love you so much. When you're ready to come out of meditation, please do so slowly. Offer yourselves wiggles, stretches. I like to rub my palms together and cup them over my eyes and flutter them open before I come back to reality.
Oh, kittens. Did you guys see that?
The dog drinking, Carrie. So the dog drinking, or the cat meowing, or the boy laughing, giggling, or farting in the background, or running around. The other day during class, he was using the bathroom. Yeah, I led, of course. Vada, I want to see you do the mudra. Let's do it. Let's do it together. Let's do the mudra together, you guys. Get some pillows to sit my butt on.
Sorry, Titten. I didn't mean to squish your little foot. Your little Titten foot. Titten foot.
You got it at the very last minute? Okay. Okay. So, it was the whole brain thing. I know the hard part of it is like right over is the right left thing, right? So that's why I say remember right over left. In fact, if you want to cross, expand or put your pinkies and your index fingers out, right? Like this. Bring those ring and middle into the center and cross them right hand over left. Right over left. It's going to make it easier. I find I can't really do left over right. So right over left. Now you've got those crossed. All you got to do is connect your pinkies. So tip, holding them together, tip your palm So you can find where those pinkies touch. And then same thing on the top. I know you can't text right now. Tip your palm. Don't worry about anything else except for getting the pads of those fingers connected. So I've got those my middle and ring finger are crossed, right over left. My right pinky touches the middle finger that's right there at the end. That's my left middle. My left pinky touches that middle finger that's facing it. That's my right middle. Right ring. See, it's even hard to discuss it. It's even hard to talk about it. Same thing with the pads of the fingers up here. The index to the middle, index to the middle, ring to the pinky, index to the middle. Hey, Christina. And then, I just dropped it, going back in. And then only once you have these connections do you bring your thumbs together at all. Yeah, tell them. Tell them they're too big for nursing. That was Mama saying, you are too fat now. You cannot have any more milk. You're too big. You are. Are you so sad about it? Boys. Hold on, guys. Ali, you can stay there. Tittens. Tittens. Leave your mommy alone. Seriously. Thank you. Such cute kitties. Anybody want any kitties? Mom is fed up, so we really need to get them rehomed. Hey. Titten. Titten, what did I say? Leave her alone. I gotta play defense. Anybody want kittens? Seriously though. Hi, friend. Hi, Diana. Okay, so Vada, did you get it? Where are you stuck? I'm gonna eat donut holes now. You want one? Come get one. Interlace your fingers. Hi, Dee. Interlace all your fingers. Right over left. Right fingers over the left. The other way that it... Well, no, I don't want to confuse you. Never mind. And then, extend your ring fingers and your pinkies and touch them. Touch, touch. Touch, touch. And then extend your middles and open up your indexes and touch them. Touch, 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 touch. And then touch your thumbs. Touch, 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 touch. It is a funky one. It is a funky one, and really the like right over left thing, the right left thing is really confusing for me. The easiest way that I have been able to do it is just to remember to fold my hands right over left, my right fingers on top of my left as I'm looking at them, and then just bring the opposite pinkies together and opposite indexes. Surabhi. Surabhi Mudra, the mudra for generosity. Opening the generosity of our spirit, the generosity of our authentic gift. We've talked in previous classes about this concept that we each come in with a special piece of the puzzle, a special gift to offer the world. And it's important through our lifetime to be able to realize and express that gift. Got it! Yes! And so I really love this mudra because this mudra does the work to open up the channels for those gifts to be realized and expressed, right? Part of what we need is confidence in those gifts, is the confidence and the centeredness, the courage to be able to let those gifts rise within us, right? Balancing air in the body, which air can be a chaotic energy that keeps us kind of frazzled and confused and difficulty making decisions and busy thoughts and stuff like that. Anxiety, these kinds of things come from excess air in the system. So this actually balances the Vata dosha, which I personally am a primary Vata dosha. So this is a really powerful mudra for me. I have found it this week thus far. I'm curious, for those of you who've been holding it for a little while, I'm curious what you are receiving this week from the mudra. I personally have found myself more lighthearted this week in difficult or tense situations, particularly like with my son. He's 8, we're going through normal stuff. And in moments where I have been lately feeling frustrated, I've been noticing that I feel like I have a little bit more generosity of heart, a little bit more patience, a little bit more flexibility, right? And we know that when we are balanced in our solar plexus, when we are balanced in our confidence and our self-esteem, we do not need to belittle others, yell at others, become aggressive or controlling over others, right? When we are balanced in our self-esteem, we don't need to engage in those kinds of energies, those kinds of activities. So when we do something like this, which balances the Manipura, balances that center, you're going to find that happening in a lot of different ways in your life, right? When you work on balancing that center. Calm, centered, and confident. I know we already meditated with this mudra, but I really, really like the feeling of it, so I keep grabbing it and holding it and disappearing off into the mudra. What else does it do? Works on cough and bile disorders, soothes cough, treats bile disorders. It also works on inflammation. It reduces inflammation in your system, particularly rheumatoid inflammation. So increases our mobility and flexibility. And to be aligned with the flow of the universe, that flexibility is an imperative. It allows us to bend and to sway when the flow of life moves through us. That flexibility allows life to move through us. And this mudra helps to cultivate that. What else does this mudra do? Increases empathy in the system, so works on the heart and that channel of expression as it comes through the heart. Improves memory, mental function, and communication there to our guides so that we can find those gifts, so we can express those gifts. Om Sri Surabhi Namaha. 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 Anyway, I like this mudra. Do you guys like this mudra? I really like this mudra. Vada, this is the wildest mudra yet for you. It's hard to interact while holding it, I know. Narasart. When you hold this, you get an intense pain in your diaphragm right under your rib cage. What does it mean? So, first of all, if you're feeling intense pain in any capacity holding this mudra, I invite you not to use this mudra. There's a lot of places that will encourage you to like push through blocks and push through that kind of stuff. In this space, we practice compassion, right? We practice meeting ourselves with gentleness, with curiosity. So, if you notice, first of all, is it immediate? Is it immediate pain? Second of all, can you hold it for a few minutes or a few moments before that pain comes? And if that happens, I wonder if you can hold it for just a few minutes, and then when that tension starts to build, let it go. When that tension dissipates, hold again, and I wonder if you could find yourself an extended period of time, because that sounds like a blockage. That sounds like an energy block. But immediate release when you let go. Okay. So it sounds like a block, and it sounds like a really intense block. Narasart, can I offer you instead of that mudra, the Surabhi Mudra, which is just to balance the 5 elements in the body? And Vada, you too. Anybody who, if you guys are ever doing a mudra or doing a practice and it starts to feel out of balance, try the Surabhi Mudra. The Surabhi Mudra just it balances all 5 elements in the body. So you use both hands and just bring all 4 fingers to touch the thumb. And then rest this. Honestly, you can hold this anywhere, anytime, anyway. When we create tension within our systems, it is that tension that often creates suffering. Is there a purpose and a place for force and tension? Yes. When we're building muscle and other certain sorts of practices, yes. But when we are working to explore our more vulnerable spaces, verify to continue. When we're working to explore our more vulnerable spaces, I encourage you to meet yourself with gentleness. I encourage you to, when you come across things like pain or fear, instead of trying to shove past those boundaries, because those are protective measures in your body, instead of trying to use force to push past them, I encourage you to cultivate a sense of trust and compassion within yourself, and instead meet that edge and go, oh, interesting, right? That discomfort here, interesting. I intend to put together a mudra journal that I'm going to have for sale on my Patreon page, because we do different mudras every single week, and I'd really like to be able to give you guys some sort of thing that we can all work from together, that has reflection questions and other sort of guidelines for helping you to classify which of these mudras are really working for you and which of these mudras are not working for you, right? Your system is unique. And so only you can do that work for you, right? And you can sit here every week with me and get a different mudra, but the mudras that are great for me may be terrible for you. And that's only because of where your system is at. So my suggestion, when you meet that boundary, to just grab all 5 elements and balance them. Or you can also just place both palms face down on your thighs, and that's just to ground. That'll just ground your energy. So if something starts to get really frenetic or really intense, just put your palms on your thighs and imagine that energy just draining down from your body. Remember, the earth is really, really powerful at transmuting. She can take any and everything that we energetically dissolve, right, into her or offer to her. You're welcome, and thank you for honoring your own boundaries, and thank you for bringing it up, right, and being brave enough to talk about it, because so this is the energy in your system, both, I mean, it has an upward flow, a downward flow, an all directions inflow, and an all directions outflow, and then an inner flow as well, an inside flow as well. These are different vayus, different movements of energy. So when we come across a block, this mudra in particular is opening the Manipura and moving that energy up through the heart. So essentially to offer the capacity for expression to our innate gifts. Our innate gifts are kind of hidden here in the heart somewhere. And when we open the Manipura chakra to that rising solar energy in our system, it's going to push through these layers. Many of us, in fact, I have not met a single person without lower chakra imbalance. Hey, Zach, how are you? So for all of us, pretty much, as far as I have ever met, right, and I've been doing energy work since I was a kid, that energy has to have an upward flow. It also has to have a downward flow. A balanced system has a powerful upward flow and a powerful downward flow and a powerful outward flow and a powerful inward flow, right? A nice balanced direction of all of these energies. So whenever you find blockages, like again, this mudra is pulling energy upward. So that means that that block happening here in your diaphragm is a disconnect there, or not. I don't like to use the word disconnect. Is just tension, is a narrowed pathway, is a gummed up, rigid kind of channel that needs to be cleared. So that tension can be okay, but never pain. Okay? Invite the movement. And there are other mudras for the solar plexus. Actually, that's another twisty one too for the solar plexus. Let me see if I can get this solar plexus one. You guys. There it is. Do you want to try a different one? Narasart, would you like a different one for the solar plexus or one for the heart as well? The blockage could be more in the heart chakra. The blockage could be more in the solar plexus. If we have a big, open, wide, aggressive solar plexus, excessive energy coming out of the solar plexus, there may not be a lot of that energy that's going to want to move upward. It's used to going outward in front of us, so it's not gonna. That's going to be a funky channel for it to get to. If you want to try another mudra, this one's for the solar plexus specifically. It's the mini jeweled horse, or the bejeweled horse, or the magnificent horse, something like that is the name of this mudra. I think it's just the Manipura mudra. Hey Mary, I've been exploring these things for a long time, and for a while, honestly, it was just information in my head. And when it was just information in my head, I funnily, right, ego self, was like, oh, I know so much. But I wasn't putting it into practice. And my experience of these tools, my understanding of these tools really changed a lot when I started putting them into daily practice. We oftentimes, we're conditioned to think of our lives in like days, weeks, months, years. What's your 10-year plan? What's your 5-year plan? What are you going to do next December? What are you going to do next July? Like, what are you going to do at the end of the week, right? And I spent a lot of my time putting a lot of these, like, oh, I'll do that meditation. Oh, I'll use that mudra. Oh, I'll do this thing later, right? I'd find the information, file it away in the library somewhere, and be like, oh, it's there for later use. All the while, still really struggling with ego identity, with deficient solar plexus energy, overblown heart chakra energy, blockages in my throat, blockages in my third eye, disconnections or blockages in my root. Like, I was really out of balance. And like a lot of us, when we go through these, through our steps on our journey, before I was distilling it into understanding, I was very much weaponizing my energy. I was weaponizing that knowledge that I took in, because instead of having it as understanding, I was pushing it on other people. I was pushing care, I was pushing tools, I was pushing healing, right, on other people. And that was out of my own imbalance, because I was still needing to receive love. And the way that my system had learned how to receive love or validation was by doing things for other people, taking care of other people, right? Big, open, expressive heart chakra, lacking in my solar plexus chakra, which is my center for will and my center for self-confidence and other things like that, right? So because of this, I was still operating in that ego place. I was still operating as weaponizing my emotions. Because I had a need. My system had a need that wasn't being satisfied. And I was still looking around the world thinking, if I just find the right person, or I find the right guru, or I find the right school, or I find the right town, or I find the right thing outside of me, I will feel safe. I will feel loved. I will feel confident. Right? And then I did. I traveled the world, and I tried living in a bunch of different places, and I met all kinds of different people, and I never found it. Until a handful of years ago, when all of that wandering around and trying to fit into something outside of me nearly took my life. And that changed everything. As a single parent, I knew that I had to change. I knew that I had to do something with this information that I have been carrying around like bricks in my backpack. The knowledge was actually what was weighing me down because I wasn't putting it into practice. When it's understanding, it's light. It's bubbles. It's passing clouds. It's something you can access when you need it and something that hangs there ready for you when you're not using it. That's understanding. But knowledge was a burden. Knowledge was information I had to sort through to try to find the right answer to the situation. Vada, knowledge without application is just baggage. It felt like that for me. And maybe not everybody has that experience, but I, being the person I am, had a fever for learning, had a fever for reading and consuming this information. I came from situations that were really uncomfortable, really scary, really difficult, right? And so I sought with a fever understanding about people, about the way our brain works, the way our energy works. I wanted to correlate the things that I was feeling and experiencing within me with something outside of myself. And yeah, it just became a school bag with heavy books. I always called it the bricks in my backpack. Every new lesson was like a brick because it wasn't being applied. I had the information, but again, the information itself is dense. Understanding is where we enlighten the system. And that information becomes understanding, and understanding is light. So the most damaged become the best healers. Your hurt has a purpose. Narasart, that's such a double-edged sword story. It always felt like that for me. But again, that was out of my imbalance. I was going to say, growing up and feeling like, damn it, why do I have to go through it? Why should I have to go through it? This isn't fair, right? That kind of stuff. But the more I felt victimized, the more I blamed others, the more I waited for someone else to love me and someone else to take care of me, the more lost I got. And like I said, it nearly led me to my grave. But just a couple of years ago, I pulled myself out of that hole by committing to every single day practicing what felt initially like radical self-love. Hey Wyatt, how are you? Congratulating myself for the stupidest little things. Giving myself permission to not do the dishes when they're sitting in the sink. Giving myself permission to go dance outside. Giving myself permission to sit in meditation even when my type A person is saying, we have shit to do. What the fuck are you doing? I know you guys hear me talk about it often, but the thing that really, really changed my practice, my understanding, my experience was this daily commitment that I made to myself. It doesn't have to be much. Vada, I love you, and I'm so proud of you, giving yourself permission to make sourdough instead of work, even though rent is due. I killed my starter. I was going to ask for a starter in case you have one, but then I was like, no, I just end up killing them, unfortunately. Because tomorrow is an opportunity. Yesterday is a memory. But today is all that we really have. And even when tomorrow becomes today. And I used to put myself on the back burner and say, oh, on Thursdays I'll do yoga. A product of our culture, right? Oh, 2 days a week I'll go and I'll meditate. But the reality is that every day is what you have every day. I've been talking to my son recently about the things that we do every day, and I've been thinking about this more and more, and things like brush your teeth every day. Wash your face every day. Wash your hands, wash your feet every day. Rest your body every day. Fuel your system, nourish your system every day. Right? We know that these are things that we have to do every day, or that are good for our system every day, right? That take care and support and maintain our system every day. Drink water every day. But how many times do we forget that and we go, oh, I'll just do my yoga on Saturday? What if instead you developed a practice? What if instead you developed a trust, knowing that you'll show up for yourself every single day? For me, I started with 15 minutes. Thank you, Valda. I'm going to tell you, you have to come out here and bring it to me. I started with just 15 minutes. And the commitment is that I had to spend 15 minutes on my yoga mat. That did not mean doing yoga. In fact, it took me weeks to even do a regular yoga flow on my mat. I was so frustrated and feeling such shame and guilt for the situations that I had been through and the lack of application of my tools. You know, that person who goes, I knew all of this. I knew all of this. I saw the red flags. I knew the thing. I shouldn't have walked down this path. I like, it happened to me, right? For those of you who've been in those situations where you've been gaslit so heavily or manipulated so heavily that it's like, you look back and you go, how could I? How could I let myself? And that's a really hard place to be in, because that's broken trust. That's broken trust. And I've been thinking about trust in particular lately because I want to start this new Kriya. Actually, it's not a new Kriya. We're going to do the Kriya for addiction starting September 1st. So 2 days. I'm going to go live every single day at 10 a.m. We're going to do the practice. The practice is a 5-minute practice, but I'll probably stay on for like 10 or so we can talk about it and then do the practice for 5 minutes and maybe wrap it up. And we'll start each class with it during the week as well. These habits that we have, these attachments that we have, doesn't matter what kind of thing that's attachment, what kind of addiction it is, right? We're just talking about attachments, not just substance addiction, but we're talking about any kind of attachment that pulls you off of balance, that you perpetually participate in, even though it continues to pull you off of balance. Narasart, you have a hard time with habits and remembering to take care of yourself. This is why so in Sanskrit or in yogic philosophy, right, we call it your sadhana. This is your personal daily spiritual practice, your personal practice. And I always suggest start with 5 minutes. If you can just start with 5 minutes and spend those 5 minutes with your hands on your heart, just listening to your inner self, you're going to lay the groundwork for building trust. Because your system knows that you are going to be there listening every single day. Wyatt, You've been on a journey to get yourself back into shape like you were in the military days. It has worn you out, and I feel like I need to break now, but you don't need to stop. It's got you off balance, you believe. Not sure if I should keep pushing or taking a break. We will never be the person we were before. Right? Time does not move in that direction. We are ever evolving, ever expanding, and I encourage you to find something that is authentic to who and where you are now. And that also builds trust, right? When we push our bodies to the point of pain or breaking or creating suffering and tension within our systems, that's perpetual because we keep pushing. We are breaking trust with ourselves. But we live in a culture that tells you to break trust, that teaches you to break trust, that teaches you to ignore your need for food, your need for sleep, your need for connection, your need for emotional expression, your need for peace, your need for, comfort, security, right? Our culture teaches us to ignore these things. And so we're very used to ignoring these things. And then we ask ourselves, I don't know what my body needs. I don't know if I should stop or if I shouldn't. I don't know if I should take this or start that, or I don't know what I need. Many of us are in that place because from childhood we've been taught to ignore our body's natural communication. So start with 5 minutes. If you can today, because today is all we really have. Don't put this off till tomorrow. If you really want to build the foundation for a trusting relationship, start with 5 minutes every day. I like to say, right, like first 5 minutes in the morning. If you wake up to an alarm, set a snooze so you don't oversleep or anything or fall back asleep, right? And just spend those 5 minutes, hand on your heart, just listening to your breath. And notice anything that comes up with curiosity and willingness. Be willing to hold space for whatever comes up, whether it's fear, whether it's hurry the fuck up and get out of bed, whether it's uncomfortable memory. Remember, in that time, especially when we're waking up, we're moving up through the brainwave frequencies. So right as you're waking, your brain is still in it goes from theta, alpha to beta, right? To beta, gamma, that kind of stuff. And it's during that time where you can receive the whispers of your system. It's easier to hear them because your brain's already there. It's like when you're falling asleep, same thing. It's a little easier to hear, right? You notice you kind of slip in and out of that subconscious sort of dreamtime state. Use that space as an opportunity to sit with whatever comes up in you, and then whatever does, meet it with curiosity and willingness. We can't always, right? I say curiosity and willingness because we can't always muster patience. We can't always love or be compassionate toward ourselves. There are genuinely parts of ourselves that we don't like, that we judge, that we want to change, that we want to get rid of even. And that's not going to change overnight. Just like any relationship outside of you, it's not going to change overnight. It has to be cultivated. It has to be cultivated. And so my question is, how are you cultivating a trusting relationship with yourself? Do you allow external things to push and pull you around? Other people's emotions, substances, other habits? Do you allow your body to make decisions for you? A lot of times these are the things that break trust. And we don't even realize it because we're not taught, again, in our culture to build a trusting relationship with ourselves. We're taught to deny our bodies and use them as a tool, as just a meat bag, right? To get shit done, to contribute to the system. The system does not want you to be self-actualized. It does not want you to be autonomous and authentic. Because if you cultivate that inner confidence, the courage to be authentically you, and the autonomy that comes along with that, then you can't be manipulated. You're not going to be pushed and pulled by all of the propaganda shit going on, or you're not going to be swayed by cute little marketing tactics, and you're not going to be paying into things that you don't align with and believe in and agree with. The system is not served by your self-actualization. So the enculturation process that we all go through at least here in the West, right? In the US, if you were born in the US and you were raised in the US, then you went through the US inculturation process. And that taught you to deny your body's impulses, to ignore your system, and to fall in line with some external parameters, external framework for how you should live your life. Eat breakfast at this time, go to work at this time, eat lunch at this time, you only get 15 minutes for this, you only get 30 minutes for that, you got to calculate your driving time, you got to make sure you've got enough gas, you got to pay for this and that, you got to put yourself in a little box and pay rent at this little box on the calendar, like little boxes on the hillside, little boxes made of ticky-tacky. Unbox yourself. Be radical enough to peek over the edges of the box and consider that there's something outside of the framework that your culture gave you. Especially if that culture is one that's not really interested in the individual well-being, or the collective well-being for that matter. The most radical thing you can do is spend those 5 minutes with yourself every day. Without that, most of us are trying to build on quicksand. Oh, I'm going to change a habit, but I'm not going to deal with the energies in me that push me to do that habit. In Ayurvedic nutrition, we talk about the system as, we talk about balance within the system like so. If I am in balance, and my energies and my doshas are in balance in my system, then it's relatively easy for me to stay in balance. And if I do a little something that pulls me off of balance, for example, I'm a pitta dosha, so spicy food I enjoy, but sparingly. I really love spicy food. But here's the thing. If I start eating it pretty regularly, it starts to pull my system off balance. And there's kind of a tipping point. If I'm upright and I have a little spicy food, it's going to go, ooh, whew, and I can bring my system back into balance. If I'm in balance and I start eating spicy food regularly like I used to, heavily, it becomes something that I crave every single day and is something that has pulled me so off balance, that it's difficult for me to get back upright without intentional work. Sorry, friend, I don't go live with people I don't know, but send me a message about going live another time if you actually want to. I don't battle, so if that's what you want to do, don't mess with me. All right. Have a great day. I love you. So, when my system is off balance, it gets harder to rectify that, right? This is where we need to put the intentional stuff into practice. For example, this Kriya that we're starting on September 1st, like I said, it's a 5-minute Kriya, and the Kriya works by increasing or improving the connection, strengthening the connection between the front and the back of your third eye. Essentially clearing this channel, strengthening this channel, and enlightening this channel so that the rest of your system can use this channel appropriately. We talk about imbalances as a disconnection from the authentic needs of your system. How do you surmise what these needs might be? Through connecting with it. Okay, let's review the chakras really quick, because this is an important piece about what the third eye is for, right? You have a top and a bottom chakra, which is the opening and closing, or the two ends of this chakra, which is the one that goes directly through you. In Sanskrit, we call it the Sushumna channel. It's the top of your head, the crown on the top of your head, and your pelvic floor, which is your root chakra. So there's a front and a back to that chakra, right? That channel. And then your sacral chakra, which is between your pubic bone and your belly button, your solar plexus between your belly button and your sternum, your heart in your central area, chest area, your throat here in the lower neck. All of these, throat, heart, solar, and sacral. The front is directly in front of your body, and the back is directly behind it. So these are our material world interactions. They are parallel to the earth. These are the ones that we use to interact with the finite material plane, right? These are the ones we use to connect with the divine planes, the solar lunar planes, the yin yang planes, right? This is the central channel where divine energy flows in and through our systems and gets transmuted in our systems. The one chakra that's different is the third eye. It is here at the brow, and it is down back here at the pineal gland. So it is at it is a 45-degree angle through the head. What is that? Obviously, right? Connecting between these lower and higher. It is the go-between. This is my material plane. This is my spiritual plane. This is my go-between. My third eye is my go-between. So the not mudra, not chakra, the kriya that we are starting is a 5-minute kriya to improve the connection and the ability to clarify the system, clarify the channel. In this way, we are better able to understand what the system wants, what the system needs, and we are better able to navigate through the impulses as they come up within our system. What I really like about this kriya, we are going to do it once a day, every single day for 40 days. So September 1st to October 10th. However, this kriya is one that can also be used in the moment. So if you have something a habit that you are trying to shift, an addiction that you'd like to change or let go of, or just any other kind of, cognitive, emotional, physical, any other kind of repetitive habit that has been pulling you off balance and doesn't feel like it's appropriate in your life, or if you don't have anything in particular, but you just want to align your system and strengthen this thing, you can use this mudra or this kriya in the moment. If you have an impulse for a cigarette, but you're trying to quit, use this kriya for 5 minutes. And each time that impulse to do the thing comes up, use this kriya for a few minutes, right? You may not need the full 5 minutes. I encourage you to do the full 5 minutes each time you need it. Rock jam. Was I in the military? No. Jordan, did getting my wisdom teeth pulled affect my ability to fully use your third eye? So in my understanding, no. The energy system is a dynamic, shifting, ever-changing sort of system. It's not a static system. And for example, when we do things like get piercings, it will temporarily redirect the channel. It will temporarily affect the channels, but it does not damage the channels indefinitely. I've consulted with other energy workers and an acupuncturist even who was talking about that, because same thing. She was like, I asked her, in acupuncture, piercings and things, do they fuck up the channel? She goes, no, actually, it's kind of like doing your own acupuncture. But it's not forever lasting. So you can't just do one like this and then expect it to forever balance that, because that channel is going to redirect and go around or through whatever it is that you've got in your system or whatever was taken out of your system. I want to encourage this too, because there's a lot of... There you go. You've answered your piercing question too. There's a lot of rhetoric in the world that says, oh, you can't use it and you can't do it and you're too broken and you're too white and you're too brown and you're too dumb and you're too old and you're too young and you're too. No. You are exactly where you need to be, exactly when you need to be there. If the universe didn't need you, you wouldn't be here. Right? The amount of tension that you feel in your life is just going to show you how aligned or, how in flow. I don't want to say aligned. How in flow you are, or how much against flow, how much tension is remaining in your system. If there's tension outside in your life, there is tension in your system. These systems ebb and flow and change and evolve. It develops for our first... It goes through several cycles of development and doesn't finish developing until you're in your early 20s. Most of how your system settles into normal, like habitual patterns, energy patterns, are developed in those early years when you are relatively unconscious. Once your prefrontal cortex comes online, you actually have the unique ability to reflect on yourself, which you have not had to this capacity before. Once that happens, then you can start to learn to intentionally shape this vessel, intentionally clear and align this vessel. It's my understanding that this is kind of the purpose of being human, right? We go from this infinite creature, this infinite part of the whole, being a piece of all the all-knowing. And then we get pushed into, distilled into this little finite reality, this little illusion of finite reality. And we've got to find our way back home. We, like water that evaporates from the ocean and ends up in a cloud and then rains on the mountaintops. That's the journey. Water is always returning back to source. Water is always going through the path of least resistance to return to source. Energy is the same thing. It has the same movement. And so when we are manifest, when we are separated through this illusion of being isolated from the whole, from the ocean, we become those drops on a journey back home. And so that early enculturation process, that early development process, the early figuring my system, figuring out how to survive in this finite reality, things may get misaligned. Things may get out of balance. The world that we live in is not perfect and pretty and rainbows and everything. I mean, it is actually pretty, but it's not all sunshine and rainbows, right? There's duality, there's tension, there's pain, there's suffering, there's confusion, there's illusion, there's all kinds of fun stuff here. All kinds of things to trip us up and all kinds of things for us to get engaged in. That's the journey. That's the exploration. That's the exciting thing. Look, the opportunity for experience. You can stay here as long as you want and experience whatever it is that you want to experience so that you can bring that understanding back to the whole. And the easiest way to realign yourself with home in each moment, to calibrate your compass, is by addressing the energy body. Narasart, doctors can't figure my out. I'd love to chat with you about it publicly or privately. Yeah, sure. So for those of you who enjoy this content, are on your own journey, want to engage with these tools or get into discussion more about some of these concepts, we have a Discord. The Discord space is totally free for you to join. The link is not a clickable link, but there's a link in my bio. I have a link tree. I am Move with Change on Linktree, and I Move with Change on Patreon. And both places you will find the free link to get into the Discord. That is where we have for the discussion. That is where we have several channels for discussion on all sorts of different topics. I also drop extra resources in there. You get all my social feed in there, and we have a really beautiful budding little community of people in there. I do also have membership levels if you're interested in working one-on-one directly with me. If you want to check those out, those are on Patreon. If you have any questions, you can always just send me a message. I can always just send you the link to Discord too. And that's usually where the best place to have conversations, because I don't keep my social media notifications on. Chelsea, veins rerouted and collapsed. Veins collapsed and rerouted. You've turned things around, and so has your beautiful human vessel. Yes, my friend. Yeah, the energy system is in its ability to reroute. Love you too, Movement Soul. I say all of that because I really want to remind everyone that you are not beyond repair. You are not broken to such a degree. You are broke. You can heal because you're broken, right? Because we get broken, because we get misaligned, because we get confused and we get lost. And that gives us the opportunity to come back home, to realign ourselves, to heal ourselves, and fall in love with ourselves, discover ourselves and each other. The system, as it is right now, wants you to feel powerless, needs you to feel powerless, needs you to feel ignorant, needs you to grip tightly to shreds of half-assed security, needs you to hide inside of the box and say, no, that's too big and scary out there, I can't do it, I'm too small, I'm too weak, I'm too broken, no one's gonna love me. Well, I love you. I love you. Genuinely. Because I've been in those places of scared and lost, and I still get there some days. of feeling broken to the extent that, you know, doctors wanted to put me on all kinds of medications for physical stuff, for mental stuff, for emotional stuff, because that's the way the system treats it. Shove it down and put it in another box inside of you. The more boxes you store away inside of your temple, the more crowded it gets in here. The more debris prevents the energy from moving freely through your system. But no matter how much debris is in your system, no matter how much misalignment or gummed up your mate system may feel, healing and realignment is available. Is available. But we start by building trust, right? We start with trust, because that is the solid foundation on which we can build everything else. If we don't have self-trust, if I'm trying to change a habit and I can't trust myself not to just grab that cigarette and have it anyway, it's going to be difficult for me to build anything on top of that. So I encourage you to join me for this Kriya. Again, it's just a 5-minute Kriya. I'll be live at 10 a.m. every day for 40 days to do the Kriya. Why 40 days? Because it takes about 40 days for us to solidify a new habit in our systems, in our lives. Te todo el tiempo. Probably another hour or two. Did you finish the dishes?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe. Mm-hmm. What a great time to practice building self-trust and building self-care and spending some time with yourself, and maybe you could go meditate. If you don't want to hear my answers, don't ask me the questions. Happiest Friday to you too, Cappy. Mijo, no más, por favor.
What? That's how annoying it is when you tell me that stuff.
But you asked me the same question again and again. Mom, what do I do? I'm just so bored. I just don't know. I'm lonely. I don't like being by myself. Well, he's bored. He doesn't like it, but he doesn't use the word bored anymore, because when he says bored, I go, well, if you're bored, then you're boring. No, I'm not. No, I'm not, Mom. I mean, if you're bored, then you consider yourself boring. It's just a matter of fact. Like, if you're bored and you can't entertain yourself, tell your kids to write a story. Nice. He's been into drawing a bunch lately, and he's been doing these cool. Can I show them one? The opening things. Can you go grab one? Anyone?
If I can find one.
Because if you're bored, then you're boring.
You're boring.
Oh, paranoia, paranoia, everybody's coming to get me. You told them all I was crazy. They usually found something else to do. Yeah, I usually tell him if he says he's bored, I say if you're bored, then you're boring, and that usually gets him to do his own thing. And then if he really starts harassing me, I'll give him a chore. I'll be like, well, there's this laundry to do, and there's some dishes to do, and you could sweep the floors, and you could do with it. Oh, I'm not sick, but I'm not well. And I'm so hot. 'Cause I'm in hell. I wanna publish zines and rage against machines. I wanna pierce my tongue. It doesn't hurt, it feels fine. Did you guys see that? Did you see that?
You have your hand on the virus.
I thought you told me to hide the virus. Look, guys.
No, I said the mouth. Take take your hands off it.
Okay, there's the virus. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. He's got a whole bunch of these he's doing.
I have a Pikachu one that, if I find it, I can show you.
So I would really like to use your designs on my, I would like to design pants where the knees, when you bend the knees, particularly yoga pants, I'd really like to make yoga pants that have like something stretchy on them. So when you bend your knee, it opens and makes a mouth on them. Because these kids' pants have these cool little open mouth knee things.
Here, show them.
And so I need you to stop coming in here though, because you're ushering all the flies in the house in here. Oh, we had 2 rains, and now there's flies everywhere. But seriously, look at this. Wouldn't that be cute? Would you go to yoga class with Pokemon on your knee? And then every time you'd bend into your forward lunge, you'd be like, Pokemon! Shenanigans. Shenanigans. I know you would, Vada. I know you would. I trust you would. Urkel yoga. Do you want to build a snowman? Jordan, still learning ways to cope with overstimulation in momhood. Any advice? I can't step away each time. Oh, yes. Yes. And I feel your pain. I feel it. How old is your kiddos? Or are your kiddos? Or is your kid? My boy is 8. And I have a lot less of that overstimulation now. But I still have to, I still have to create the space for myself. 2, 3, and 7.
I'm interested.
My son says he's interested in hanging out with your kids. To be honest, I really like, it's such a delicate balance. It's such a moment to moment practice, right? With our kids. Leo, Scorpio, and a Cancer. Whoa, sweet, what a sweet. Which one's the Cancer? Oh wow, you got it busy. That definitely sounds like overstimulation. Really, what I really love to do with kids is really just find what energies they have available to them, and then help them really foster that energy, expression of that energy in a way that's healthy for them, in a way that's productive for them. Unfortunately, sometimes like with Leo, that may mean they need to be seen. With Cancer, it may mean they need to be held. With Scorpio, actually, it's funny because I was going to say Scorpio needs to be held, but Scorpio needs to be held in their quiet, in their silence, and allowed to be held and allowed to be seen in their darkness and in their brooding, and allowed to brood and be dark. And Cancer needs to be seen in their emotions and also be held. When a young Cancerian is growing into their energy, that all that emotion can be very difficult to manage, and they're still developing their shell, their outer shell. So a Cancer really, really benefits from that physical touch. Vada, double Leo here who got no attention. It creates a monster. Chelsea, are you in our Discord? I actually just had an aha moment the other day and was like, I don't know why I don't have an astrology channel in here, and I just created one. If you're not in our Discord, or Jordan, you too, or any of you who want to talk about astrology or want to talk about child development and combine the two, come into the Discord, post in the channel, and let's talk about it, because knowing the energy that's available to them. Why do I like astrology? Because it's a fantastic lens to tell you the energy signatures available in your system, right? Based on when and where and all that stuff that I was born, and everything that was going on in the world and in the universe, I am a unique energy signature, which means that I have certain strengths and certain challenges available innately within my system. When we start to, that's why I like astrology, is because we can use this to understand, oh, this energy is going to be manifesting. And when they're very young, that energy is still developing. So it's actually can be really, really helpful to fostering authenticity in your children, to understand what energy is available through their astrology. And also, if you've heard of the 5 languages of love, I know it's not an end-all, be-all list. And I know some folks have an issue with it because it makes love transactional. But the truth is that there is an exchange in our relationships. And I think, I believe that the 5 languages of love are a very good framework to start from, right? It's not the end all be all, but understanding how the people we care about give and receive love. Vada, what isn't a transaction, right? Because there was an engagement. It's funny, when I heard that, I got really triggered because it was somebody making a video saying it's a bunch of bullshit. Okay, so Discord, y'all, if you want the link for the Discord, you can either go to my link tree, you can go to my Patreon page, or you can just send me, or I'm going to pin Leb. Leb is one of my moderators here and in the Discord. He's got his own server as well, does his own lives as well. He deserves your follow as well. Similar content, fantastic insights. Give Leb a follow. Also, if you want the link to the Discord and for some reason I completely missed your message, you can also message him. So, yeah, or you can find it in my bio on my Linktree or Patreon. Remember, I am Move with Change everywhere. All the platforms, all the socials, wherever you hang out, give me a follow. I try to go live where I have the most followers. Yeah. So. Transaction. That's what's funny. Okay, so. People also get bent out of shape about the word manipulation. And the truth is that by way of being human, we interact in a manipulative way with our energy, with the outside world, with other people. It's just like the process, right? So I really like to call both transactions and manipulations negotiations, because that's what we are always doing. We are energetically negotiating, whether I'm the one who's going to take more control of the situation, or we're going to share that control based on our energy signatures. If we are negotiating with 2 people who want to hold control of the situation or lead the situation, it's going to create a battle. It's going to create tension, right? Because both of those energies are negotiating for that leader role. Learning to balance would be great, right? So we are always negotiating some kind of energetic transaction. The practice of mindfulness is becoming aware of those negotiations and becoming a participant in those negotiations. Your system is negotiating for you. Do you know what your system is negotiating for or against? Sometimes our systems are negotiating ourselves out of a good relationship or out of our own confidence, right? Or into situations we really don't want to be in up here. But my energy body, my energy system has these habits that it's going to go through again and again and again. Why is it going through these habits? Honestly, for alignment. Vada, this guy came into your live and you let yourself destroy your stream over it because he went off about 432 being manipulative, and I was like, you're not wrong in ways, but he was attacking, and then I got restricted. Ah, damn. Isn't it funny? I don't know. I find it funny on the socials how people can come in the comments and be aggressive or that kind of stuff, and then the person holding the live is the one that gets restricted if that person defends themselves sometimes half the time. Yeah. But it is manipulative. I manipulate my energy body by putting on frequencies, tones every night before bed. I manipulate my energy body by holding this fantastically funky mudra. I manipulate my state of being. Let me shift it. I negotiate my state of being by paying attention to my breath. We, again, are used to the messages in our culture that say fight, that say push, that say force, that say you are a human doing, not a human being. So instead of negotiating with our systems, we pretend that we are the boss. And usually we're a fucking bully. Usually we're mean, right? Usually we're pushing and fighting and forcing ourselves to fit into expectations outside of ourselves, not negotiating with our systems for satisfaction of our actual needs. How am I supposed to negotiate for my actual needs if I don't even know my needs? Trust. How am I supposed to trust myself if I keep making these fucked up decisions? Awareness. Am I going to have a trusting relationship with somebody who knows nothing about me? No. Am I going to have a trusting relationship with somebody who accepts parts of me, but judges like a motherfucker other parts of me? Tells me that those parts aren't allowed? No. Trust. Trust is something that comes from within. Brene Brown did a really great study on trust and how we build trust. And even she said that she, in the first place, assumed that trust would be something we build in these big moments, right? When something terrible happens and the people that show up for us, we trust those people, right? I personally have had the experience of people who show up only in the emergency situations. And it's like this big show of how much they care. But in the times when I really need those small moments, a lot of those people aren't there. And so I really, struggled to build those relationships, struggled to trust me. When no one else was there. Neither was I. When things got difficult, I hurt my system. And even sometimes, right, we reward our systems with things that are not good for our systems. Again, a cultural misdirection that says treat yourself with things that are toxic to you. Reward yourself with things that are toxic. It makes me so mad because it's so backwards, and now I'm sitting here eating donut holes. Pulling my system down to a lower frequency. Derek, hey friend. Navigating the vocabulary of ideas beyond the material world is a challenge. Yeah. Or that skirt the lines between the material and beyond, because because our language is limited, and so we don't actually have the words to describe these concepts. Why do all of our representations of divinity have edges and have a birth and a death and are finite representations of divinity? Because we cannot create a representation of something that we cannot fully conceive of. If we are inside of the body, if we are part of the body, then it's difficult to see the body. I need to find the parable of the twins. I just read it the other day. And share donut holes. Here. Here. There you go. You want another one? Here you go. We should become part of the body because then people won't fight about racism anymore, says Wada. You're welcome. Blub. You guys know my other analogy, right? Everyone should close their eyes. Jordan, thoughts on cutting meat out and if it's sustainable? Okay. First, I don't believe that there is only one diet for everybody. I subscribe to the profound insights and wisdoms within Ayurveda. I encourage you to explore your dosha and Ayurvedic nutrition and start to see your system as a dynamic system that has a lot of different kinds of needs and unique needs. If Ayurveda is a little bit too far of a reach for you, try Eat Right for your blood type. That's going to actually give you more insights about the unique needs for your body. I don't think cutting meat out for everybody right now is the best idea. Some of us cut it out because of, social, economic, global sort of things. The meat industry is fucking terrible and it's really scary. Actually, right now, especially with like lab meats and all kinds of shit like that coming out. I'll tell you what I did. I got back into fasting a couple years ago after I nearly ended up in the ground, and I needed to change my life, right? I needed to reset my system. So I started doing a monthly fast, and it was after actually that first fast. The way I like to come off of my fast is with bone broth. And I love bone broth. I've never had a problem with bone broth. This fast, when I came off with the bone broth, it was disgusting. I spit it out immediately. My system was like, fuck that. I probably could have kept eating meat and tried different things and my system would have taken it back in, right? But I decided in that moment to trust my system and say, okay, let's just see how long this goes. I have had little bites here and there of meat or this and that here and there since that. It's been... Are we on 3 years now? Holy moly, are we on 3 years? I think it's been 3 years. Maybe 2. Am I never going to eat meat again? No, I can't tell you that. I don't know what tomorrow brings. I don't know what my future is. I don't know what my system will need in the future. And to be honest, if there's a situation where I need to eat meat for some reason or another, then I might end up doing so. I'm not an absolutist, right? I understand that the world has the chaos element that I cannot predict, and the universe knows far better than I do what's going to happen and what opportunities and possibilities are out there. I do know, as we clarify our systems, the need for excess goes down. I want to be very careful, and as those of you who hang out in here know, I don't like to talk a great deal about nutrition on lives because it is a sensitive topic, and it's one that our system, our culture, has heavily manipulated and causes some people some very real suffering. So I don't want to add to that. So I'm very careful about the things I say. If you want to talk in depth about nutrition and all that kind of stuff, please come into the Discord. We talk at length in there because it's more of a safe container. And the meat industry is yikes. And that's a big deal. Honestly, it's a huge deal for me. But I also need to be mindful of the fact that sometimes my values actually prevent me from taking care of my body. Right? So if your value is throwing you off balance because your system actually needs that right now, please honor that. Right? Sven. Honor where you are in the moment. Ask yourself each day, do I feel like I need this? Try things like muscle testing. Practice those 5 minutes of being present with your body. It's a humbling act, Vada, when you shout from the rooftops about veganism and then gotta eat an egg. You guys know probably the story, I think I told it once or twice, of an ex of mine who was a staunch vegan, right? And I valued his perspective on it. He was not only vegan for health reasons, but he was vegan for industry, economic, and global reasons. He researched every company that he would buy from, probably neurospicy. He'd research every single company and only buy from companies that he knew had good employment practices, good legal practices, a couple other things like good packaging and clean. Like, he would really get into it, and he had a list in his head of the companies that he would buy from. Now, this fine young gentleman lived in Ashland, Oregon, where a lot is available. We went on a road trip to Moab, Utah. And on our way out there in the middle of nowhere, Utah, we went into whatever grocery store was there. And this poor man had a meltdown and stormed out of the store with his 3 or 4-year-old daughter in tow, screaming and crying because she was hungry. But he could not bring himself to purchase blueberries from that company or beans from this other company or, whatever it was from these other things. He couldn't do it. He couldn't do it. And it meant that he suffered and his daughter suffered. And in that moment, right, that was one of those moments where I was able to reflect, see that, and go, oh gosh, we got to make sure that we don't do that. Yes, it's important to value things, but it's also important to be gentle with yourself. Being rigidity creates tension. Tension creates suffering. Creates resistance. And it was more difficult to Vada because his daughter was not vegan. Her mom allowed her to eat cheese and meat and whatnot like that, but when she was with him, she ate vegan, which I don't need to get into that, my judgment, right, of the way that he was raising his daughter. That's not for me to determine, but I know that I saw that it created a great deal of tension between them and within him and within her. So I encourage you to be gentle with yourself. Do we really create trust, right? That inner child that was within him, the one that was echoing the little kid, just needing for needs to be met in a way that felt good. And in that moment, he wasn't able to manage himself enough with enough trust to navigate that situation in a way that took care of his needs. In a way, he stormed out with his little kid inside of him, being pissed off that his needs weren't being met. When our systems get that agitated, it is almost always an indication of an imbalance in your energy body. The energy body is one of the easiest things for us to adjust, align, balance. Like I said, take this mudra. It's called the Surabhi Mudra, and you bring all your fingers to touch your thumb. It balances all 5 elements in the body. It's a simple, it does quicken the movement of elements, right? So if this becomes too intense, always release your practice. But this is going to balance all 5 elements in the body. This is just like a nice basic overhaul of your whole system. When we make decisions for ourselves, muscle testing, that's what I was going to say. In the moment. Okay. And the question was, is it sustainable? So I think did I answer what you were asking, Jordan? Yeah. Okay. In a long roundabout story kind of way? Yeah. Okay. It's only sustainable if it's sustainable for you. If it's true to your system, if it's authentic to your system. And I understand that as we clarify our system, many of these things naturally fall away. So much we end up fighting with these external things, like trying to break habits and change things and change external behaviors, without addressing the energies, the imbalances within us that lead us towards those behaviors. And so we end up doing them over and over and over again, not really knowing how to get out of that cycle. Cultivating your attention, cultivating your awareness is how we notice when these things come up, right? Your attention is one of those powerful things that you have. Because when something arises within you, if you have the awareness to see it happening, see it coming, then you can cultivate that moment of pause to decide which direction you actually want to go. Do I want to let my body push and pull me around? Sven, you got to stop and give yourself a little credit for what you're doing right too. Yep. Thank you, friend. Hey, Lavelle, how are you? A big step on my journey was I was 25 and I went to a workshop called Total Transformation, Total Immersion for Total Transformation. I was that kind of, like I said, fever, right? Fever for self-growth, fever for information, fever for evolution. I wanted to evolve as quick as possible and get the fuck out of this body as quick as possible. And at 25, I was in a workshop that was supposed to give me a total transformation. And I think he named it that on purpose, actually, to trigger some of us. So I'm in the class, I'm in this workshop, and we are tasked with deciding, picking something that's very charged, emotionally charged, that we want to move through. And I couldn't find something. I was like, I have so many emotionally charged things, right? I'm just a baggage of trauma. I have so many emotionally charged things. I can't pick one. And so he sat down with me and he was like, okay, well, tell me about your life. Tell me about you. Tell me about... And I was like, well, I really believe that my growth is very important. And I probably even use the word hellbent, right, on growing and evolving so that I can reach my self-actualization. So I can resonate at the truest, brightest version of myself and reach samadhi as quick as possible and all this kind of stuff, right? And he's listening and he's listening, and then he goes, okay, let's do an experiment real quick. He said, I want you to close your eyes and imagine for a moment that who you are right here and right now is the last incarnation of you. You're not going to change. You're not going to evolve. Nothing is going to change. You are you for the rest of your life, like this. When I tell you I had a visceral reaction that my group mates chuckled, right? He says this and I had my eyes closed and I went, like he scared me. Because I was so afraid of forever being me. What I felt like was stuck. I wanted to change and evolve. I was not stopping at all to appreciate myself for where I've been, to love myself for who I am. And that, again and again, led me to situations in my life externally where I was groping for those things. Love and acceptance and appreciation that I wasn't giving to myself. It's fucking annoying, but it's true. Is that all of these things outside of you are seeded from within. And if you do not grow them within you, then all you're doing is plucking from people's gardens. And what happens when you pluck a flower? It dies. If you want something sustainable, perennials, right? The perennials within you are what we cultivate. These are sustainable. These are perpetual. These are abundant and exponentially so. When we pluck from someone else's garden, just like when somebody else takes catches a fish for us, then we don't actually learn to do the thing ourselves. And it's finite and it falls away and it dies. And then we end up groping again and again and again for these things that we could be giving ourselves. Faithful being, you don't think that anyone can force you to transform. So it's really important to make the distinction between power and force, right? We can't force anybody to do anything. The only real power we have is to adjust and align our systems. And that increases our power in the external manifestation of the world, because what is external is echoed from inside, and what is inside is echoed outside, and vice versa, right? These are mirrored sort of fun things right there. But force is something that our culture here in the West will teach us that is the only way to get through life. This is the way you accomplish things, is by force. You get what you want by taking it, right? You make changes by making them happen, by forcing yourself to do it. How many times have you tried to quit smoking or change your eating habits or change any other habit by force? Tell me, how well does that work? It's almost as if the tension created by the force that you are attempting is echoed in your system. The more forceful I am, the more defensive my system is. Equal and opposite reaction. When I learn to cultivate that inner innate power that is available in my system, I don't need force. The external system that we live in right now works on force. So true power is to not be swayed by these external forces or the internal forces. If you meet fire and fire with fire, you end up with a wildfire. So if your system has tension, force, these kinds of things going on in it, I invite you to cultivate the power to be present with it, to be curious about it, to be willing to see where it's coming from, and to learn how to redirect that energy. Energy never dies, it only transfers. So the energy of road rage, or the energy of fear, or the energy of aggression, or the energy of need that exists in your system can be repurposed. In fact, needs to be repurposed. In fact, is begging to be repurposed. Our systems in this incarnation are these finite meat bags with finite energy, with finite breath, with finite digestion, with finite cognitive skills, with finite vision, with finite, well, right. The whole system is limited. Your emotions and your thoughts are the same things. Just like your breath. You inhale a thought, and then we can exhale the thought. But usually we inhale a thought and we go, and we consume that thought, and we hold on to that thought, and we ruminate over that thought, and we turn it around like it's a tasty little morsel in our mouth, and we gotta figure out what this thought is. Is this a good thought? Is it a bad thought? Should I be having that thought? And then we argue with the thought. But it can ride the same rhythm as your breath. That is the same rhythm as everything else in the universe. A rise and a fall, an ebb and a flow. Or ebb and flow. Your emotions are the same. Your thoughts are the same. These are finite experiences that we often pretend are more permanent. But what happens if you take an apple and go put it in a cabinet somewhere in your house and leave it there? It's going to rot, and it's going to start to smell. But what do? We cover that apple up more. We say, oh, the more it rots and the more it stinks and the more it permeates through my system and starts to affect my life. No, I'm just going to try harder to hide the smell. I'm going to try harder to hide the deteriorating emotion that is stuck in me. And what happens is it gets louder and louder and louder and louder and louder until you say, fine, and you go take the apple out of the fucking closet and put it in the earth so that energy can be transferred and transmuted into something expansive. Maybe we can make apple wine with it, right? But for the love of everything, for the love of your system, stop putting perishable things in your system and letting them rot. Derek, I'm doing everything I can think to do to be present with and adjust the align the internal energies working through me currently. Yet they're so strong, I struggle to function. if you are experiencing things that feel overwhelming, I encourage you to use grounding practices, discharging practices. Sometimes our systems are operating at frequencies that are so imbalanced it can feel overwhelming. An aligned, balanced system is not overwhelming. It operates with ease. It operates with light and expansion. The density of energies that come from imbalances are much more, are going to push and pull on your system a whole lot. So obviously grounding, right? Going outside, putting your feet on the ground. Another way I really, really, really like to ground if I'm experiencing really intense energies, actually there's a couple of things. The Prana Mudra, which is just leaving your first 2 fingers up and bringing the thumb to touch the tips of the pinky and the ring finger. This mudra right here is the Prana Mudra and can help discharge energy when you put your 2 fingers on the ground. So take this Prana Mudra with both hands. You can put them in front of you. You can put them on the sides of you, wherever works for you. But you can use this to discharge. Blech. Sorry, it just moved out. It just moved funny. I felt that move funny. Okay. Putting your feet on the ground. Obviously another way to discharge. Rolling around in the grass. Another way to discharge. Big deep breaths. Another way to balance your system and to discharge excess energy is with pranayama, is with nadi shodhana. Alternate nostril breathing is one of my favorite ones. That one is done like so. I forget the name of this mudra now. Okay. Drop your first 2 fingers, making a Y out of your hand with your thumb and your ring and pinky still extended. We begin by closing the right nostril with the right thumb, inhaling through the left. Switch, placing your right ring finger on the left nostril, exhaling through the right. Inhale through the right. Switch, closing the right nostril, exhaling through the left. Inhale through the left. Switch, exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Exhale through the left. Inhale left. Exhale right. That is a really, really, really good one for balancing the solar and lunar channels in the body. I love, welcome to the field. I love that breathing exercise as well. It is a foundational breathing exercise that I encourage everyone to try. There are 2 ways to do this mudra, or to do that practice. You can do the mudra like this. However, I personally find sometimes this gets a little bit difficult to hold my hand in this position and I end up creating tension. So the other way to do it is to extend your first 2 fingers and put them at your third eye. Use this to brace the arm and then use the thumb to close the right nostril and the ring and pinky to close the left, so you can do it with the breath like that. And same, almost instant, right? Almost instant adjustment. Another bit of advice too with the Nadi Shodhana breath work. Okay, you can here.
This is could you ask the person who has the kids, do they like Minecraft?
How about they'll come in the Discord?
Yeah.
Okay. So another practice with Nadi Shodhana that I like to use is to use a mala or a beaded, right? Malas, I like malas in particular because they have 108 beads, and so it's going to give you a reliable count every single time. And it's a number that goes along with all sorts of other fantastic sequency, geometric, whatnot, right? So, with your mala, doing this practice, you move each bead on each breath. So inhale, move a bead. Exhale, move a bead. Inhale, move a bead. Exhale, move a bead. And when you do that, it equates to about a 20-minute practice. Thank you. Welcome to the field. We did a chair yoga class today. Fridays is our chair yoga. The replays, just so everybody knows, the replays are on YouTube. If you want the replays for this class or my other classes, I do have a replay archive for all of the Tiny Yoga and the Bhakti Bites classes. And we mostly work with mudras in Bhakti Bites, but I do share mantras and pranayama and other things like that too. And talk about the energy body a great deal. Haleb, apparently my left nostril is a little bit plugged. Yes. So one thing that I really like about alternate nostril breathing is it also can give you a way to become familiar with the exchange with the inhale and exhale of your energy system. So the energy system has a kind of breath, and it fluctuates about 45 minutes. Within an hour, less than an hour, your system shifts from a right to a left, from a solar to a lunar energy. So if you were to do this practice every 45 minutes to an hour or so, you may find that your left feels a little more dense, and then your right feels a little more dense, and then your left feels a little more dense, and your right feels a little more dense. Alternate nostril breathing, when you do it for a longer period of time, will help to balance, but it's not intended to clear if you have really sticky blockages, I guess. I don't mean just like, snot kind of deal. I mean like energetically, and inflammation wise, right? Kapalabhati is a really good one for clearing breath. Bastrika is good for clearing breath. These are all more forceful on the exhale and can very much clear your sinuses for you. Oh, good. Minecraft. Okay. Chelsea says her kids love Minecraft. That's probably what we need is somebody to play Minecraft with it. Alternate nostril breathing, balancing the system, balancing the energy body, the solar and lunar fluctuations in the body. Alternate nostril breathing can help with that. We were talking about grounding practices. That was the other one. I was going somewhere. Derek, are you familiar with Brahmari breath? You guys know I've done it in here a little bit. You may have seen it in watching the replays. Brahmari breath is one of my favorite ways to discharge when my energy is way, 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 way high. When I'm feeling scatterbrained, when I've had too much coffee, when I'm feeling really fucking pissed off, when I'm feeling frustrated, when energy's moving through me and I don't know how to manage it, or I just want to discharge it. Brahmari breath is one of my favorite ways to do that. It's called humming-bee breath, and we use the Shanmukhi Mudra, which closes up our senses. So, stick with me. You're about to be, yes. Okay, so Brahmari breath is done like so. We begin by placing the fingers to gently rest. Remember, no more than the weight of a nickel. We're not trying to squeeze our face together here and make funny faces. You can make all the faces you want to. However, the intention here is just to make the intentional connection. Pinkies at the corner of the mouth. Ring fingers at the sides of the nostrils, at the edges of the nostrils. No, don't close your nose. Middle fingers. Close your eyes and place your middle fingers gently to rest on your eyelashes. Place your pointer fingers or index fingers at the base of the eye socket bone, so right where you can feel that eye ridge. These all rest gently at these points. And then we take a full deep breath in. Close the ears and hum for the duration of the exhale. As soon as the exhale is done, open the ears with your thumbs. Inhale again. Close the ears and Make sure you open the ears to inhale. And as you exhale, as soon as your exhale becomes shaky or difficult to continue, exhale, release, and inhale again. The goal is to get a nice, steady, long exhale hum without it skipping or dropping. A nice, steady rhythm. So let's do a couple more of those. Inhale. Close the ears and hum. When you are ready to release the practice, or when you just feel complete, rest your hands on your thighs. Palms up or palms down is totally up to you. I do like palms down to ground and release any remaining energy in my system that is not needed, that is disruptive, that is pulling me off balance. The hummingbee breath reminds me of the uber popular vibration plate thing happening right now. You don't need to buy a vibration plate. Sound vibrates your body, vibrates your cells, has a frequency that moves through your system. Leb. Robert, hey. Jay Falcon, you love that one. Brahmari breath. I love it, love it, love it, love it too. You can do it anytime, anywhere. There is one variation that I have seen of this, but personally, I don't. It's new to you, and you're obsessed. Yay! It is so effective. When we're working with mudras, right, we're working with the subtle energies of the body, sitting there in somewhat stillness, right, waiting to receive the energy movement happening through our system. Pranayama is a fantastic way to amplify that practice, to adjust the energy in our system with an actual doing. So remember to be after your practice, right? With pranayama, as soon as we do something, it's important to remember to give yourself that moment of rest, to be with that. Cosmic Carly, your coworkers already think you're crazy. I might not do that while making pizzas tonight. The reason I love these kinds of things, mudras in particular, is because they're a little less conspicuous than covering my face and humming, right? So things like this balances all 5 energies in the body. If you're having a lot of intensity in terms of mental activity or anxiety or feeling like frenetic energy in your system, I recommend pulling the pulling the air finger, index, that's what it's called, pulling the index, curling it into your thumb, and tucking it in like so. You can also just hold the index finger in itself. Of course, Robert, thanks for being here. Have a great day. Faithful being, if you feel empty-minded, what can you do? In terms of empty-minded, in terms of like not being able to recall or retain, or is it causing you a disruption in your ability to communicate or ability to retrieve information and stuff like that? Or is it... Yes? Double L. O. That's what I was thinking too. Leb says, interesting, many people would consider that a goal. That recall, retain, retrieve, the big 3. Okay. So, mental support, mental clarity, third eye practices. Good, Cosmic Carly. Keep spreading the message, right? Faithful being. I'm usually quick-witted, but sometimes I feel lack of mind at times. If it's something that's causing you tension, right, and disruption, and it's something you want to adjust, there are definitely tools for it. And I notice sometimes my system will shut down naturally when it is in a lunar energy cycle. So I don't know if you were in here a few minutes ago when I was talking about the solar and lunar energy fluctuations that happen in the body. They happen about every 45 minutes or so. So when my system is in a lunar aspect, I tend to be more relaxed. Mind tends to be a little quieter. However, sometimes it can also trigger negative thoughts or memories and stuff like that happens up in, right, emotional stuff that happens in my lunar area. So I wonder if you might be experiencing a low lunar energy when you're shifting into that lunar space. Like a drool is going to leak from my lip with the stare of a goat. So if it's not consistent and you're noticing it that sometimes it's happening and sometimes it's not, I would say check in with your system, work on balancing your system. So Nadi Shodhana, right? The alternate nostril breathing, that is intended to balance the solar and lunar energies in your system. And also recognize that your system may be telling you that it's time to sit and be, right? We are culturally taught to do and to do and to do and to do and to do, and we forget to be. And so our system ends up forcing us to be by either shutting down on our own or becoming, too tired or, creating tension, shutting it on its own, or fighting back, basically. A demonstration of alternate nostril breathing? Sure. Alternate nostril breathing is done like so. There are two ways to hold the mudra. You can hold the mudra like this with your pointer and your middle finger down into your palm, keeping your thumb, your ring, and your pinky extended for your right hand. You can try this with your left. I welcome you to explore both sides. It's traditionally done with the right. You can hold it like this with those fingers down, or you can place those two fingers at your third eye and use the thumb and the ring finger, to open and close the nostrils. So I'm going to do it like this just so it's easier to see. We do not alternate nostril breathing like so. Begin with the right thumb closing the right nostril. Inhale through the left. Bye, Carly. Have a great day. Then switch so that your middle or your ring finger is closing your left nostril. Exhale through the right. Inhale through the right again. Close the right nostril with your right thumb. Exhale through the left. Inhale through the left. Close it with your ring finger. Exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Switch. Exhale through the left. Remember that you always switch when you have the breath inhaled. If you get a brain rush, is that okay? Yes. So there's a couple of things that you can add to this practice. First of all, honor where you are and please be gentle with your system. If it makes you so lightheaded that you feel dizzy and it makes you feel uncomfortable, pause the practice. It's something that you can take relatively slowly, and I do encourage you to do that, and you can build upon the practice. It's not something that you can always just sit and do for the first, for 45 minutes the first time you try it. One thing I really like to do to get myself to a really good quality practice, or what I consider a quality practice, is to use a mala. A mala is 108 beads, so you have a reliable count every single time. And with each breath, you move a bead. So inhale, one bead, switch, exhale, another bead. Inhale, one bead, exhale, another bead. Inhale, one bead, exhale, another bead. And if you were to do it about that pace, I usually don't go that fast, you're going to end up with like a 20-minute or so practice. That's a really powerful breath work practice. If you can just do 5 minutes though, that's also amazing. It takes 5 minutes for energy to recirculate through your system. So any of these practices, I always suggest doing for 5 minutes or more, unless it's contradicted. So that is a foundational practice I encourage everybody to use. I encourage everybody to employ. Sir, could you please stop shaking the entire house? Thank you. Can you go outside and play? Or go water the plants? I can give you a chore to do if you'd rather, if you're, no? Okay, then let's not be disruptive, please. Thank you, dear. The other piece of Nadi Shodhana that I like to do as well is while I'm doing it, I will close my eyes and envision the breath going up through the nostril, up into my third eye, swirling around and coming back down the other one. Again, up into the third eye, swirling around and coming back down. So the solar and lunar energy channels in our body connect between our third eye and the root. They don't connect directly up to the crown. So this is where that energy comes up and then starts to go back down. Remember, the solar energy is a lifting energy. The lunar energy is a dropping energy, or a descending energy. There we go. And both are important for the function of our system. Your system is constantly doing this up and down. And you can use that energy to clarify every single chakra, the entire system. That's what this does. What are some other ones? Got it. So there is one other practice that is for clarity. It's the mudra for clarity, but this is one, again, that is, I caution. There's a big caution with this one. Remember that in this space, so I'm going to preface it. In this space, we do not create a battle within ourselves. This is not a space where we are practicing force. This is a space where we are cultivating inner power. We are cultivating a loving, trusting relationship with ourselves. We meet ourselves with curiosity and willingness, not with force, right? If you create an enemy of yourself, that's a battle you will fight every day. And if you fight that battle every day, it's going to become the war that you wage your entire life long. In this space, we practice curiosity, willingness, gentleness, patience, acceptance, surrender, things like that. There's lots of other places you can go do other things. So, when I give you this mudra, I implore you, for the sake of your own relationship with yourself, that you respect the boundaries of this mudra. The mudra should only be done for 2 minutes. No more than that. And I would not recommend doing this mudra more than maybe 2 or 3 times during a day. Be very, very, very mindful about pushing too hard and too fast with this mudra. I'm going to show you, I haven't shown you yet. That's why I'm just giving all the preface, because I want everybody to hear this piece, because again, this isn't going to affect me if you use this mudra and hurt yourself. It's going to affect you. And you're going to have to do that cleanup. And you're going to have to, walk that path towards healing. So I'm asking you to cultivate a sense of personal responsibility before I even show you this mudra, and agree within yourself. Yeah. Agree within yourself to cultivate a trusting relationship by respecting the boundary of this mudra. This is the mudra for clarity. It is a mudra to assist in clearing the third eye, and it does so very intensely. This mudra is to be done, again, no more than 2 minutes. Set a timer if you have to. Do it for only 1 minute. If you're not sure if you can time it for that long, just count for 60 seconds in your head, right? This mudra is done like so. Extend your index finger on your right hand. Extend the index finger on your right hand. Wrap your left hand all the way around that finger. Totally enclose that finger with your left hand. Then scoot your hand around a little bit, because you're going to bring the thumb to the outer edge of the nail. So right there in the bottom outer corner of my index finger, I'm going to put a little bit of pressure. I'm going to close my eyes and I'm going to put my attention in my third eye. I can close my eyes and actually turn my eyeballs, right, up towards my third eye like so, but close them. Count to 60 seconds or set a timer for 2 minutes and then release the practice. It is an intense practice. You may very well notice tension created or generated, being generated in your third eye, in your eyes, muscles, in your face, in your ears, in your head. You may very well feel tension being created. I encourage you, in fact, implore you in the spirit of a good relationship with yourself, that we do not push too far. Spiritual psychosis is a very real thing. We can absolutely cause ourselves injury and discomfort and further suffering when we try to force certain things. Your system has defenses for a very good reason. Your system is intended to keep you safe, and everything it does to keep you safe, to keep the divinity within you safe. Might not always be in your body's best interest, but it's intended to keep your system safe. So if you go in there with force, trying to barrel through your own boundaries, I guarantee you your system is going to meet you equally, if not exponentially. So the way we get past these boundaries, the way we get past our inner guards and inner defenses is not with closed fists, but with curiosity, willingness, acceptance. As Leb says, don't poke your third eye out. You want that thing. You want that thing to be clear and balanced. If you blow it open, it takes more work to rebalance than if you slowly, subtly allow it to unfold. This is a flower. This is a lotus. This is an unfolding process. And time is relative to the observer. I encourage everyone to stop thinking that they don't have enough time, or that they're taking too much time, or this is taking too much time, or they wish it'd be quicker, or whatnot. You are exactly where you need to be, exactly when you need to be, exactly who you need to be. Right here, right now. Time is an illusion, and it is relative to your perspective. So stop quickening time for yourself. And trust, or at least start cultivating the trust that you have all the time you need, and that you are exactly in time. Faith, I think my third eye needs a contact lens. Maybe just a squeegee. Thank you, friend. It made me think just now, it made me think of the way that we used to clean DVD players with a Q-tip and on the little laser screen, you know, the little lens. It made me think of like a Q-tip going. That's kind of what this is doing. So Courtney, psychic medium, are you just getting in here? We are talking about the mudra for clarity. It is a mudra that is very intense. Again, there are so many places in this world that encourage you. I don't know why that's a song, but it needs to be a song that encourage you to be ignorant about your system, that encourage you to fight your system, that encourage you to deteriorate your system, ignore your system, compartmentalize your system in a way that makes it suffer, that makes it... Time and space exists in the mind, Faith. Yes, time and space are relative to the observer. Time and space are relative to light. Same concept, two different ways of looking at it. Your observation, your attention is a kind of light. It is something that you can direct. And we've done studies on our attention, and it turns out that you can only focus your attention on one thing at full capacity at a time. Can I split my attention by degrees and be paying attention to multiple things at once? Yes. But we have studying the brain and the body. It is not possible for us to give our full attention. That's why we use the term full and undivided attention, because your attention is finite. when I put that light on one thing, if I'm focusing it on one thing, that light is more intense than if I spread that light open wide and I have a dim light on a bunch of different things, right? So, that attention, cultivating that attention, cultivating my light of awareness allows me to manipulate time and space itself. Talk about being a co-creator within the universe. Oh, that's a bunch of woo-woo bullshit. We understand through our scientific exploration that time and space are relative to the observer. You can walk outside and see this concept. It's not far-fetched. If you walk down the street, or as my son was doing last night or the other night and looking at the stars, he's like, it's like they're moving with me. Yes, because your perspective bends space itself. And depending on my perspective and my sense of observation and presence, right, my experience, time is going to be different for me depending on my current experience. If I am distracted while doing the dishes or driving, I'm not going to fully experience time. I'm going to experience time differently, right? Suddenly I'm going to be home and go, oh shit, I didn't even see the last several blocks. But if I am in the middle of an art project and doing something, right, that's in flow, time may feel expansive and infinite in the middle of it. If I'm really not enjoying what I am doing and waiting for the very next thing that's coming and I just can't wait for it, time is going to take forever. Faith, how did we lose or stop believing in this knowledge? Information control. Guru Jared, people stopped seeking and stopped looking at the world like a kid. And that was from manipulation, right? That was from the intentional. So knowledge is power. Information is power, right? Because that gives us the power to, well, it gives us the ability to cultivate an inner sense of power, knowledge and understanding, not just outside of us, but especially inside of us. The thing is that there is knowledge, there is information that was not available to us. If you were born in a certain place in a certain time, there was a certain amount of information that was held and kept from the general public or kept out of the hands of people, you know, and once upon a time we couldn't even read. Like, we went through these stages, we begin through these stages in our current incarnation of ignorance. And that information is now more and more and more and more out and available, right? So the issue right now is that there is so much information, we can't tell what is what. And so it's information overload now. It's confusion now. It's, I don't know if this is right or wrong, if this is not even being able to trust information. That is still a means of control. Those who control the information control the narrative. And if they control the narrative, then they control the cultural ideals and values. And those cultural ideas and values are instilled in the children generation after generation after generation. All you do is manipulate the parents, manipulate the information to give to the people who are where they are, and then they will pass children. It's a fantastic enculturation process that only the information has to just come from the right source and be packaged the right way to be manipulated to the general public until it's, I mean, think about like Dr. Spock and Dr. Sears, who were like, put your child in a crib by themselves in a dark room, set them on a time schedule. What does that do? That caused several lower chakra traumas, intense lower chakra traumas, that now we are culturally dealing with the repercussions for the way that we hospital birthing now, and the way the traumas that come with birth in the way that it's being done now versus the way that it's been that it was traditionally meant to be done, or the more natural ways of doing it. I'm not going to judge anybody for the way that you choose to do right now. Whatever you choose to do, own what you do. But we need to recognize that these things are not actually supportive of our well-being, and are actually causing generational trauma, and are are influencing the collective narrative and the collective energy experience that we are having. If all of us have this major root chakra trauma, major sacral and solar plexus energy deficiencies or exaggerations and expressions that are not balanced, you're going to be dealing with people who are perpetually trying to satisfy the most basic needs in their life for security, safety, love, nourishment, and a sense of autonomy, a sense of courage and strength. These are basic things, and these are the basic ways our culture usually traumatizes us. So the most radical thing you can do now, because the reality is that we're not going to get anybody to clean up the 10-car pileup of information, right? We can't fight the external world. You can't fight the external world. You can't, there is only so much you can do to affect the external world. The power to affect the external world comes from within. There is only so much force you can exert on the external world. So how do we align? How do we adjust this? How do we collectively shift this? How do we walk ourselves out of that ignorance and into a state of enlightenment and ultimately a state of autonomy and a state of self-actualization? We do so by building trust within ourselves, by cultivating our intention and our attention, by meeting whatever comes up within us with curiosity and willingness to see the value in it. Willingness to receive information or understanding from it. When I close myself off to all the mirrors outside of me that are telling me what's going on inside my system, I am preventing myself from being able to see that reflection. And it's only going to harm me. So when we approach the world with curiosity and willingness, I'm saying to my system, there is value out there. Let's be willing to receive it, at least to see what was there. I don't have to take it all as mine. I don't have to take every belief that I find outside of me in and believe it as true. But if I take all of those that I find within me, I will then find the ones that do ring true, and those I can keep. The rest I leave for somebody else, because that might be someone else's truth. We cultivate that sense of, let's see, our intention, our attention. What is my intention? My intention is my North Star. It's my guiding light. It's the thing that I align with my values and my beliefs. I have to assess my values and beliefs if I'm going to make sure my intentions are aligned with authentic truth within me, right? So there's all these layers that we are doing of uncovering and understanding and learning about ourselves so that we can hear, so that we can communicate with our systems, so that we can honor the truth within our systems in each moment, rather than being pushed and pulled and swayed and manipulated by external forces. You want true freedom, true strength, that comes from autonomy. That comes from self-actualization. That comes from authenticity. And when we live in a culture that intentionally cuts us off from those energies, we do have to intentionally cultivate them. Remember, we have a Discord space. If you want to come into the Discord space together and intentionally cultivate this stuff together, it's a free Discord space that you can join. I do have memberships available if you want to work directly with me. Reach out to me or come join the Discord or go look on my Patreon page and we can chat about doing that stuff. I don't work with a lot of private clients at one time because I like to give a lot of my energy to them. But there are a couple of spots available. That said, we also have group coaching options. And I am live Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. Pacific time for Bhakti Bites, for Tiny Yoga, for Shenanigans, for Dharma Talk, for Mudras, for Pranayama, for questions and answers and silly storytelling and that kind of fun stuff. So, and honestly, to do the work with you of unraveling the things that keep us out of balance, that keep us in our ignorance. The system that we are in currently relies upon and even encourages your willful ignorance. If you would like to remain within that system, remain within that system. Nobody's telling you that you don't have to. Nobody's telling you that you can't. Nobody's telling you that you have to change. I would not poke somebody's sense of security. If you have a sense of security and you feel safe and comfy where you're at, the universe isn't pushing you to grow. There's no push to grow. And if that feels fine, then stay there. If the universe pushes you and you say, fuck no, I'm staying here, that's your choice and your experience to have. There is no judgment. I will never judge somebody for staying in a sense of comfort and security. Damn, I wish I could find that. Could have had that one. Still working on finding that one. But I'm cultivating it in myself, partially because I never had it outside myself. I never had that sense. Faithful being. You disagree. You feel like the stable people need to help those who can't because they perpetuate the system. And this comes from my own journey. I'm gonna tell you kind of what my perspective on that is from my own journey, right? I felt like it was my job to Haley, my job to heal everyone. I was working with energy as a child. I received my family's energy lineage and then studied philosophy and had intense spiritual experiences all before I was finished developing. And then my mother filled my head with this idea that I was going to be some huge, epic world changer. So I was hell-bent on healing others. And it didn't matter who came to me to ask for guidance and help and support. I would put 110% into everyone that came through. Yes, I was also denying my own needs at the time, and that was part of the imbalance. Somewhere along the way, I recognized that you can't force anyone to grow, first of all. That growth has to come from inside of someone. And in my willingness to support any and everyone who came to me, oftentimes I was actually condoning someone's suffering by taking on the responsibility of their healing. And I was doing the same. I was asking people to take responsibility for my feelings of security and love and support and these other things. And this was a hard spot, and I'm still not completely there. I still have the impetus to be like, oh, I'll help you with that. But as I moved through that piece, and as I started to cultivate that self-love and self-trust, I realized that in some way we actually do each other a disservice when we say, I see you, this is too hard for you, I will go ahead and help you carry it. And in fact, our culture says, you are weak, you are small, you're not going to be able to do this work on your own, you need some super special guru or some intense medication or some whatever, right? So in many ways, it's disempowering when we take that away. And instead, I believe that we really honor the person's value and truth and the fact that they are a fucking miracle when we can stand beside them and say, I see you. I see that that's heavy. I see that that's difficult. I see that you're struggling. And I love you and I trust that you have the capacity to do this. Can we walk beside somebody? Totally. During a storm, it can be helpful to tie the ships together to weather the storm. But I take something away from you when I ask you to board my ship so that I can carry you. Or I lose something of myself when I leave my ship to teach you how to steer yours. When we learn to fish, we stand beside each other and practice. Especially as we start to unfold into our journey of taking care of, offering services to, holding space for, any of this healing stuff that a lot of us are doing. it's very easy to get stuck in that push and pull of energy still. And it's actually kind of exciting to take other people's stuff on for them, right? And I encourage you to cultivate a little more trust, a little more faith in the capacity that is available within everyone. Because wouldn't you want someone to look at you and say, I see that you're strong. I'm right here. I'm not leaving you. I'm not running away. I'm not taking anything from you, but I will stand right here beside you and walk with you so that you can build the skill and the muscle to walk on your own. Yes, there are times when someone falls and we catch them, but we help them right themselves, align themselves, and then we, right, like a toddler learning to walk kind of thing. Sometimes we forget how to walk. And if everyone around us is just going to carry us and carry our shit for us and hold our hand the whole time, then we're going to have that sense of comfort and safety, and it's not going to encourage us so much to do that work on our own. I mean, if somebody's fishing for me every single day, why do I need to learn how to fish? It is discomfort oftentimes that perpetuates growth. Faith. It's the energy signature. It's the energy signature. So due to my imbalance, my energy system is going to align in a certain way. For those of us who are taught that our value is in what we do for other people, a lot of us ended up with big open heart chakras. Again, let's not blame anybody. Let's just talk about the enculturation process and the expectations and the archetypes and stereotypes within our culture that tell us that we are supposed to behave these ways. And so our systems get shifted in a way that fits with the cultural expectations. That is just so that our systems can survive. Okay? Nobody's fault. Let's let that fucking shit go. Get out of the story and just recognize that my system developed this way because that's what it needed to do to stay safe. So many of us have this big open heart chakra and we go out pushing this energy out, taking care of other people, doing things for other people, giving away our resources, listening when we don't have the time or the space to really do so. Yeah. Giving the shirt off our back. Feeling like you are the one who has to take care of everything, feeling like you are the one who takes care of everybody else and nobody gives back to you. When we are taught to open this chakra and keep it open nice and big like that, that's an excess of energy pushing out that way. What happens when we have a lot of energy pushing in one direction? There is not the backflow that we need to receive energy from. A lot of folks, a lot of us in our Western culture are like, oh, I give and I give, and then the universe is just going to give back to me, right? There's not, your system isn't receiving. Another way our culture ends us up in imbalance is either overblown, big, aggressive solar plexus. So I have a high need to control the situation, right? Or this deficiency in my feeling like I'm not very confident. I don't have a lot of self-esteem. I don't have open signs, Lee Farrell. How many of us hang an open sign over our heart and say, come and go as you please? Literally. This is your temple. This temple houses divinity. That spark in your heart. And this temple does what it can to keep that safe. But you are the one who gets to choose to open those windows and doors, to renovate the temple, or completely trash the temple. If you're one of, like me, who was taught to have this big open heart chakra, big wide open front doors, and not a lot of boundaries, then I'm sure people have come and gone from your temple, taken what they want, and left little to nothing behind. Graffitied on the walls and stole artifacts, right? People don't respect our temple when we don't respect our temple. There is so much to be said about this system and the way this system functions. I feel like I just need to put it all down into a book. You guys, I need some pressure. I need some pressure, external pressure. Hi, Rock. I feel like it's going to be a big book. I don't know if it really is. There's just a bunch of connecting pieces. And I want to get them all down in a book. Because when we understand the system from it, when we understand how the system works, then it relieves us of the story, of the suffering that comes with the story, and we perpetuate that story. When we are in the story, it's hard to see the arc of the storyline. But when we remove ourselves from the story, then we can see the whole picture and go, oh, and we have more flexibility and freedom to move within it. Time and space are relative to the observer. No, Rock, I have not been in the military. Ha, Leb. Called out. Called out. Called out. Called out. Called out. Called out. Okay. Let's do it. Let's just relieve some internal pressure. My internal pressure is my own expectations. That's all it is. It's my own expectations. It's my own hopes and dreams and the things that I would desire to do with myself and with the world, right? But I am also learning how I manipulate time and space. How my system has learned to manipulate time and space in a way that actually doesn't serve me very well. And it's an everyday practice. These concepts, this like every day is all you have, right? This is some broad concept that we can talk about forever, but when we take it as just face value of like, when I wake up and this is who I am and this is the day that I have. Rock J, you mentioned spiritual stuff to your psychiatrist, including astrology and aliens and quantum mechanics, and they put delusions on your medical record. I highly encourage you to interview your doctors and therapists before you commit to working with them. I personally interview every single one of the professionals that I work with because I have to. We have to speak the same language. If they do not accept the same truths that I accept, then we can't have a conversation, and that they're going to miss. We're not going to work well together. The Western medical system would have us believe in the material world and nothing more. Nothing more, nothing less than what we can measure, compartmentalize, and record. Unfortunately, even our tools for measuring these things are limited because they were created by limited creatures as well. My perception is limited, therefore the tools that I'm using are limited, and therefore I have a limited capacity to perceive what exists in the universe. There's the Western mind that says, I want to know, and if I can quantify it, does it exist? That's the only knowledge that I will accept. That is a denial of anything else that exists. That is a denial. It's a willful ignorance, right? To say, I know that there are maybe things that I can perceive, but I choose to just ignore them because I can't measure them in a way that I would like to measure them. It is absolutely a reflector thing. Iraq and back. Was I raised in this mindset or raised with it? Hey, Pond Guy. Yes and no. Was I raised with it? Yes and no. I was raised in 2 different households, moved between them very often, and had the proverbial, like, very Western, falsified middle class with a ton of debt and all the trappings of the right brand names and new school clothes and stuff every year with one parent. And then the other parent we lived well below the poverty line, and in the Western world, I was given the Western mindset. I was raised in Catholicism and given the Western values of this American culture. On the other side, I was raised to understand the value of how I treat my body and how I interact with the world, and my spiritual growth, early spiritual growth and early spiritual experiences were supported by the mother side of my being raised. They were very, very, very different experiences. My stepdad was very much like, if you can't see it, taste it, smell it, right? If I can't quantify it, it doesn't exist. We don't break for butterflies. That's bullshit. You cause a fucking 10-car pile up. Like, if somebody does something wrong to you, you get them back, right? Like that kind of thing. It's like, it was a certain mentality. I do what I want, I sin whenever, and then I go and say my Hail Marys. And you're supposed to graduate high school, go to college, and then ultimately get married and have a kid and retire someday, right? It was very stereotypical. My mother, on the other hand, was able to speak to me about some of the things I was already experiencing. As you guys know, I was doing energy work when I was little. I used to ask my doctors about it. I used to feel it in church. I used to feel it in school. And no one really confirmed it for me except for my mother. And then eventually she taught me how to use energy in the way that her family lineage was taught. And at that point, I was already considering becoming a nun. I was Catholic. I was raised Catholic, but I was also working with energy and having personal, direct experiences with the divine, being pulled out of my body during traumatic events and violent kind of stuff. Like there was a lot that went through me. And so really early, I began studying philosophy and different religions, and looking at the world outside the box. Because the box that I was in, especially on the one stereotypical American side, was violent and painful and really fucking terrifying, and felt really, really small, and felt really like a ton of pressure. I couldn't even, enter that house without feeling pressure. The force of this culture that says you must fall in line, you must do what we say and do, and yeah, do it like we tell you to do it, otherwise you're wrong and bad and terrible. I thought I wanted to be a nun so I could do it the right way. And then when I was old enough to see the gaslighting and manipulation that was happening within my culture, within the religions, some of the religions in my culture, within the culture itself, within the school system, within the family systems, within the psychology system, you know. I always say that it's curiosity that has always kept this cat alive, right? Because I if something doesn't look right or doesn't feel right, I look outside of it and say, what else is there? Her diagnosed with OCD, asking because about doing it the right way, and religiosity. My desire to be perfect both comes from the influence of my astrology, of when and where I was born. I have a Virgo sun, so that definitely adds to it. But it's also a means of keeping me safe. The more right and correct I was as a child, the less in trouble I got, right? And so my system figured out that the best way to keep me safe was to be type A, was to be OCD, was to develop intuition, was to develop the sensitivity in my energy system that I could tell what mood my stepdad was in before he came in the door, because the risk was very real that if I said the wrong thing when he walked in the door, I would get laid out. He didn't, like if I interrupted him and he was having a bad day and I said, hey, can I go hang out with my friend? I'd be on the floor. But if it was a good day, I could ask, no problem, and I'd be able to go to my friend's house. Our systems are wise enough to protect us before our brains are even wise enough to figure out how to protect us. Figure out what to do, figure out how to navigate the situations. Our system does it for us. And then these remain the energetic patterns that we employ later on in life. Continued throughout my life. Order, rigidity is a kind of protection for me. Even though there's nobody here punishing me for a messy house, when my house is perfectly in order, there is a sense of safety that comes over me. Now, through my journey and through my work, right, I'm becoming aware of that. And when the opposite is triggered, I see a mess in my house and I feel fear. I stay present with the fear, discharge the fear, and remind myself that there's no one here to punish me but me. And then I ask myself, right, do I need to be punished for this? Is it okay that those dishes are in the sink for another day? We can reparent ourselves by being present with ourselves. If we're not present enough with ourselves, we won't see these things happening and we won't be able to reparent ourselves. We'll just usually end up perpetuating the same things that we learned when we were being parented. I also got diagnosed with bipolar. And it wasn't an accurate diagnosis. So I know all the platforms want me to say for educational purposes only, but this is a personal story. This is personal experience. I went from full-on diagnoses, medications, physical pain, so excruciating that I ended up being diagnosed with fibromyalgia. I ended up being diagnosed with several things over the years, put on several different kinds of medications, went through several different kinds of therapies, Western style. And none of them made me feel more aligned. None of them made me feel better. They just made me feel a different kind of weird. A different kind of frazzled, a different kind of pain, a different kind of tense, a different kind of dissociated. So, this is why I studied these things. I say specifically, this is why I studied these things, because it took several years for me to put them into practice. Through studying these and putting some of them into practice in a very simple way, not even a daily way, I did start to heal and align from several things. But I was still repeating patterns that were toxic. I was still choosing people and situations and using substances that were not good for my health, that were not supporting my well-being. But I can tell you, above all, the most important thing I've done, I would not have been able to do these other things without building that foundation of trust. One of the biggest things I never had within myself was trust. And, you know, people say, well, you don't trust yourself because you don't love yourself, or you don't love yourself enough to set boundaries and whatnot. And I really think that's a misnomer, and I want to shift it. It's not about the fact that I didn't love myself. I'm sure it's not about the fact that you don't love yourself. I'm sure you love yourself, right? I loved myself. But I didn't value myself enough to create balance, to take care of my needs. I didn't value my own energy enough to give it to myself first and give others the excess. Because when I take care of myself, when I fill my cup, what happens? My cup fills up and begins to overflow. And that natural overflow is what we are intended to share with each other. But we must first fill our own cups. This culture says, no, no, no. Put the gas mask on, put the oxygen mask on somebody else first, right? Take care of everybody else's needs, fill everybody else's plate first, give everybody else the shirt off your back. And my mother used to do it all the time. And I'd tell her, I'm like, you can't give your shirt away if you're fucking naked, lady. And you're walking around totally nude because you're not taking care of any of your fucking needs. And then you're mad at other people because they're not clothing you. Damn it, clothe yourself. She's still working on that one. And in gratitude for her struggle, I got to see that. I got to see it really clearly. And so it gave me the opportunity to, earlier in my life than she has, to start learning how to cultivate that inner energy. Iraq and back. Have I heard of Charles Fillmore? No. But I always like being referred to things. Yeah. So... You've been researching for years what bipolar is, and you have a degree in psychology. I personally, and again, let the media platforms do what they want to do in terms of censoring and whatnot. I'm not going to mince words about it. I believe that it is an umbrella term for emotional experience. For the I want to choose my words carefully because I want to say what I mean and mean what I say. We live in a culture that says to be like this, that says to stay within these parameters, that says to behave within these parameters. If you go out in public and you dance in the grocery store, you're not within those parameters. If you yell on the public bus, you're not within those parameters. If you are silly or angry when you're in school, you're not within those parameters, right? So what is bipolar but an expansion outside of those parameters? The problem with my system, they said, was that I would go on these high highs and these low lows. Now, I felt the problem with the low lows, and sometimes those manic highs absolutely created problems too. But what I needed was not, personal experience, was not a medication to dampen the edges of my experience. It was I needed the information, the knowledge, and the practice of riding those waves. Figuring out how they manifest within me, how these huge waves get triggered. Because when I start to learn to ride this rhythm here, it no longer becomes a fucking tidal wave that hits me, and then a fucking tidal wave that hits me. I can see it coming. I can feel the ebb and flow as I move through it. And then that is when I become a master surfer, right? And I can shift my energy. Thank you, Iraq and back. I'll look at it. Crazy is when one's experiential reality doesn't fit within the accepted norms. Rock, I was so all over the place. It's really hard for me to like, because honestly, they struggled at first they didn't want to diagnose me as bipolar because my shifts did not fit exactly with the DSM. And then I went to another therapist who said, "Oh, well, you have anxiety, you have CPTSD and bipolar. So there's more fluctuation and more chaos in the middle of all that stuff happening. That yes, you have these other cycles that are going on pretty regularly. But again, what are those cycles? My body has a natural cycle during the day. My body has natural cycles during the month. My body has natural cycles throughout the years. But we live in a culture that says you're supposed to do this like this, stay like this. It wants you to create a static place of being, a static state of being. But what we don't recognize, what we don't look at, what we don't connect the dots, is that when you study gerontology, when you study the end of life, we completely understand at the end of life that those of us who have spent our lifetimes in rigidity, who have kept our minds compartmentalized and narrow, these are the minds that end up cognitively deteriorating. More so, right? Some of us can end up with cognitive deterioration for other reasons and whatnot. It's not just because of that. But above and beyond, the more compartmentalized, the more narrow, the more static, the less flexible, and therefore the quicker it became deteriorated. This is a dynamic system that is constantly moving and changing and shifting and evolving. Let it be dynamic. Thanks, Faith. That's okay. Sometimes we forget. We hang out and life happens, right? It's an ebb and a flow of its own. Like, foundationally, let's go down to the foundation. One of the best things we can do for ourselves is learn how to surf, right? Hey, friend, thank you. Is learn how to ride these waves. This is how we cultivate. Let's go beyond energetic or emotional intelligence and talk about energetic intelligence. You saw my avocado jumper. We are, I thought, I jumped the gun. I thought we were in onesie season. We aren't in onesie season yet, but soon enough it will be onesie season. I have several onesies. So let's go beyond emotional intelligence and let's talk about energetic intelligence. This is what I want to write the book on. Because there are books on emotional intelligence. And there are books on the energy system. But there's a lot of different perspectives, and they're kind of like scattered all over the world. And like, some are Eastern, some are Indian, some are from Chinese medicine, some are from the West, some are from the North and the South and the whatnot. And we pull all these pieces together. I feel blessed that this gets to be my adventure in this lifetime. Having worked with energy really young, having learned that capacity really young, having always had that within me, I feel like it's a unique thing that I get to play with. And I know that others do as well, but I know that not everybody does get to have that so early. So I feel really blessed by it and by this understanding of it. And that's why I want to that's why I share information for free. That's why I'm here teaching the classes and sharing the topics and answering questions. Because emotional intelligence is important. I would even say energetic intelligence is even more important because your emotions manifest as energy. The biggest reason you keep your mental health in check is for your wife, not self. Is that bad? Again, I want to step back from judgment, right? We cultivate curiosity and willingness. So instead of seeing it as good or bad, I invite you to just ask yourself, how does that feel? Is it something that feels sustainable for you? Is it something that feels inclusive to all the parts of you? Maybe it's for your wife, but that might be a defensive piece in your brain that explains to you, okay, we're going to do this for your wife, But then the mental health gets done anyway. The check gets done anyway, right? Sometimes we use these things to circumvent our defenses. Ideally, of course, we want to go directly through our systems and directly through the energies rather than around the defenses. So if we can learn, like in that case, it would be cultivating, valuing yourself enough to do it for yourself. And yeah, Rock, then be careful with that one too, right? You say it feels selfless, but might not be working the best. So I like words. So the exploration here is selfless, self-centered, selfish. Selfish would be to say, me, only me, fuck everybody else. Selfless says, I don't exist at all, I don't need anything. Neither of those are balanced. Self-centered says, I recognize my value enough to fill my cup, and I know that when my cup fills, everything and every outside of me is going to be taken care of as it needs to be. But that's about building that trust with yourself, cultivating that value within yourself. And that's something that, I mean, I just started doing a couple years ago. But what I want to impress about that is that after all of the years of gathering information, it wasn't until I developed that trust and started to value my own energy as mine first and necessary to my system, that exponential growth and change started happening. Instead of feeling like I was climbing a mountain or pushing stones uphill and shit like that, pushing boulders uphill, now it's a slide. Every day I am slipping a little deeper into more aware, more mindful, more energetically intelligent about my system, and with more of a capacity to intentionally direct my energy in line with my intentions. That's huge. That's manifestation. And I'm fucking seeing it. Like, again, somebody who used to argue about manifestation and go, I don't know about this whole stuff. I am now manifesting. I am now finding myself in flow with my universe. Now it's not, I'm not sitting there waking up and going, I'm going to be a millionaire tomorrow, and suddenly my bank account's full, right? We're not talking about that. I'm talking about every single day I'm aligning a little more with my authentic expression. And the more I express myself authentically, the less tension I experience in my life. Because authenticity is the purest expression of my energy, and therefore the most perfect alignment that I can find. If I want to be in alignment with the universe, if I want to manifest these big concepts, right, then I align within myself with my truth. Rock, you ask, do I think that listening to people like me can replace the therapy because I have had bad luck finding a good therapist? I am not going to tell you that listening to me or anyone else is going to replace your therapist. Therapy, having a supportive sounding board that you can trust, that's a safe place to talk to, and is a clear-ish mirror, right? Because sometimes our friends or our family is not the clearest mirror because they don't see us for where we are and for our potential. A lot of times they see us as who we used to be or what they expect us to be, and so those are not clear mirrors. But when we go to somebody like a therapist or a life coach, we get clearer mirrors. But that's why we need to interview them, right? I don't work with any therapist or coach or anything unless I interview them and spend several sessions asking them questions. Right, Vada? Were you in here talking about that not too long ago? Asking them if they have their own therapist? Somebody I was talking to about that. But that said, I do offer coaching. But I don't suggest that, I'm not going to be here to tell you that coaching can replace. We are each our own unique journey, and we each have our own unique needs. And I don't want to use the term better safe than sorry, but better gentle than forceful. Rock, I was injured by psychiatry too. The last therapist that I saw was a psychiatrist several years ago at the very end of that situation that I was in. And thanks to the psychiatrist misdiagnosing and mismedicating me, I ended up with both seizure and stroke. Little tiny, apparently. Little tiny stroke. I now suffer from migraines when I never did before. Like I said, the situation nearly put me in the ground. Because I was not engaged, I was not practicing energetic intelligence. I was ignoring my energy. I was denying my own truth, my own authentic nature, because I thought I had to fit into some kind of box. I reckon back, do I hold and lead guided meditations? Yes. So I go live Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. We work with mudras. We do different styles of meditations. On Mondays, we always sit with our mudra for 5 minutes, and we do that several times. Unless I get chatting about stuff, and then sometimes we don't go back to the meditation, but you're always welcome to request one. If you want a mudra, if you want a meditation, we can always sit for a few minutes in one. I do have a podcast. It's on Spotify. The link is in my link tree, and there are some guided meditations there. If anybody has the ability or desire to do editing for my audio, I would deeply appreciate it, and I would happily exchange services, coaching, or other things for that service, because I would like to get more meditations posted on there. I love guiding meditations. I don't do them scripted. I just do them off the cuff. So when you come join me in class, we will just use the tools that we're learning that week, and then we will move through a journey together, a meditation together. If you are somebody who says, I can't meditate, no way, then I encourage you, I implore you to come in, because we go from the very foundational pieces. We're not trying to, the misnomer about meditation is that your mind has to be perfectly clear, right? Or your system, you have to feel this sense of peace, or you have to feel or experience anything. Yes, these are boons that we hope to receive. Sure, these are experiences that we would love to have. But the foundation of meditation is cultivating what we call our 4 pillars of mindfulness. Cultivating your intention, your attention, and meeting everything that comes up with curiosity and willingness. Your intention is your guiding light, it's your North Star, and it's aligned with your values and your desires. So in meditation, if my intention for the meditation is to just experience, we do mudras, right? So let's say we've got this mudra for this week, the Surabhi Mudra. And if I'm going to sit with this mudra, I place this mudra where it belongs. I close my eyes, and then I can spend the entire practice cultivating my attention. My intention is to just experience the mudra. And anytime my mind wanders off, or some sound distracts me, or my body farts or whatever, does its thing, I bring my attention back to my intention. For me, in my mind, it looks like this. I'm listening to my inhale, listening to my exhale. Thoughts pass by like little clouds in my head. And sometimes those clouds hit me in the face and I get totally distracted, and my head starts to think about this one time that we did a meditation, and I wonder if maybe it looks like this, and I wonder if maybe, and as soon as I realize that my energy is doing that, I go, boop. And we come back to center. I come back to my attention, my intention, which is just to experience the mudra or just to follow my breath. Anytime those thoughts, distractions, disruptions in or outside of your system happen, I encourage you to meet them with curiosity and willingness. No need to attach a story, no need to blame, shame, guilt. Just, oh, interesting. My brain pulled me away. Oh, interesting. My body experienced some discomfort. When I do that, I create the space for me to receive the benefit and experience the benefit of this mudra. As I'm sitting here and holding this mudra, and I'm curious about what arises, and then suddenly I feel something occur in one of the channels of the mudra. Oh, interesting. That's the air element in my body. Oh, interesting. That's the earth element in my body. Whoa, interesting. I felt that in my solar plexus. Oh. And then it's a process of discovery. Then it's just a chance to experience everything that comes up. And when we do that without force, without trying to control the situation, but more so being present with whatever comes up, this is how we cultivate energetic intelligence. This is how we become our inner captain, our own inner captain. And then Iraq and back, I do tiny yoga on Fridays. So we do a chair yoga session on Fridays. That's what we did today. Replays of class are on YouTube at Move with Change. It's the best way to check out the previous classes or the other meditations and practices we do. If you're in the Discord, I do drop our yoga flow after the Friday class in there, so you can do it on your own if you'd like to, or you can just watch the replay. I do archive the replays after a week or two, and there is a membership level if you'd like to donate. You can access all of the archive or the replays. So, Rock, you asked, did you let go of the psychiatrist, and did I complain? I just left. I didn't try to do anything less about fighting the external world and more about just cultivating my own state of being and my own energy. I ended up having to go to the hospital. And I'm still going through medical stuff to try to sort out how to heal my body and my brain from that situation. Sir, can you go outside? Okay, hold on. Again, that's Rock. That's about, force versus power. You have the power to remove yourself from the situation, but we rarely have the power to really make great change outside of ourselves, especially when we're fighting bigger systems. Will you let him outside, please? So that's why I encourage you to start within. Start here. Ask yourself what you can do first instead of trying to put that energy external first. But it's really hard to not want to do something about it, right? We feel justified in trying to fix the situation, remedy the situation, or punish the person for the thing that they did, right? Especially when we've been in the situation again and again and again, where we may be experiencing really bad, like, for example, for me, Western medicine has been a fucking long ass story of bad experiences, poor treatment. I definitely have a legal case against a couple of different hospitals and doctors, but I ask myself, what is the outcome from that? And how does that outcome really support my well-being? Does it support my well-being to get revenge on the people who have mistreated me? I actually can't really see how it does. It does a lot more to relieve my system of the tension when I can move past it and just cultivate wisdom in the future. Iraq and back, yes, it's with the channel is Move with Change, but my name is not spelt that way. Let me look really quick. Oh, I've got all the windows open over here. The link is in my link tree. Hey, Trikind, how are you? Been a while. The link is in my link tree. Also, anyone and everyone. I know it's not clickable. You can message Leb. You can message me. It's not clickable right now because TikTok was giving me a bunch of violations when I had the business account. Thank you, friend. The business account, apparently, it has a bunch more like parameters and things, and they kept telling me that I was like, I'm not allowed to send you guys to my website apparently anymore. They literally gave me a violation for sending people, telling them to go to my website. And I was like, oh, fuck you then. I'm not doing business through TikTok. I do have subscriptions available. I do have, you guys can send gifts and stuff like that. And that definitely supports the work that I do. It supports me continuing to teach these classes for free. But if you really want to support the work that I'm doing, go grab a membership on the Patreon page or get one through the Discord, because TikTok takes 60% of everything I make on here. 60%, and then they give me violations if I don't do it exactly their way. And I'm not interested in that kind of control, right? Yay, you found it. Okay, good. So that's why the Linktree link is not clickable. Again, if you really just want a link sent to you, just send me or Leb a message. Rock, before you knew you had OCD, a psychiatrist accused you of malingering, and it was very hurtful. In our ignorance, right? In their ignorance, people judge us based on what they know. And yes, it can be hurtful to receive a judgment or a reflection that doesn't truly reflect us. But again, we can step back from the story and recognize that someone else's perception is just a projection of their own judgment and beliefs and stuff about the world, right? Everything I see and experience in the outside world is going to be colored by my lenses and my experience and my bias. I can't really get outside of that unless I recognize that that is the nature of my perspective, and therefore start to acquire information from others, from other people's perspectives. That's the only way I'm going to be able to see the whole. Faith. Western medicine is good for surgery and trauma, but not really for healing. Actually, Western medicine was developed for the battlefield. It was meant to be used in emergency situations, and also part of why it was also mostly just men being studied, because it was being used on the battlefield. It was being used for emergency situations. It is not intended to facilitate our self-actualization, because it is a product of the culture. It is a product of the development of the culture into what it is now, right? So we have to just accept that it is a limited, ignorant system in and of itself, because it is not open to valuing the information from other cultures. Now, it is evolving more and more and more, so we can't say that Western medicine is all fucking bad. You need it. If you break your arm, you need it, right? If there's an emergency and you need a surgery, you fucking need Western medicine. It has its place, it has its purpose, and people are becoming more and more aware that getting your doctorate or getting your doctor's whatever PhD, whatever thing's called, medical thing, without ever studying sustainable care like nutrition and things like that is kind of dumb. So, right, they're shifting that now. That is evolving, and that's good, because we also have to continue pressuring the system to evolve. Beth, do I accept Cash App and Venmo? Yes, I absolutely do. I know lots of people do. I like I said, I think it was just that I was a business account and I had just started the TikTok shop. And when I sent people to go to Patreon or my website or something, TikTok gave me violations. I had never seen it before either. And so I just said, forget it, because ultimately this that I'm doing here is not intended to be a business. It's intended to be a nonprofit. We're building community. I am teaching for free. I'm sharing this information that I have gained over my 20 plus years in the field of human development and wellness, which included 12 plus, a little bit more than 12 years of study, college and workshops and these kinds of things, right? And personal and, what's the word I'm talking about? Like university study and stuff like that. So once I get the finances together and the paperwork together, it will become a nonprofit. Because I don't want you guys to have to pay for information. And I do still have some bills to pay. But I do also have memberships on Patreon if you want to, like, support the work every single month. You can do one-time donations. You can go ongoing donations. You can also get private coaching as well as group coaching and things like that. There's a replay archive membership. I created these memberships more so that if you guys want to support me and get something back, you can do that. But also note that if you want a level of membership and the $ is the lock on the gate for you, please reach out to me, because I definitely have things that I need help with, from tech to moderating to editing to that kind of stuff, app building, right? There's a lot of cool things that we have waiting in the wings that we want to build, and I need some support to do that. I need people to do that. So if you have services or things that you can trade, I'm happy to give you membership. But I also definitely appreciate the deposits in the bank account because we still have to keep the internet on, right? My kid's growing like a weed. So Rock, okay, so yes, I need to stop hating them and maybe see in a positive way that they are not perfect. That's it. When we can suspend our, it's our imbalance that wants to acknowledge something or deem somebody right or wrong or bad or good, right? Instead, if we step back and recognizing that they are going through their own transformation and they can only perceive as much as they're willing to perceive, they can only know and understand as much as they're willing to know and understand, they can only experience what they are willing to experience. And so when we accept that about people, we can just recognize that, oh, you're just in your experience and it has nothing to do with me. The way you see me, it's what I say to you guys in here, right? You are your guru. Why? Because what you receive from me is only what is available from within you to receive. And what you receive may be really positive. It also may be really negative. And that has very little to do with me and a lot more to do with what's within your system and how that information or how, you're perceiving me or the information or the experience. When we let go of the story and we step back and see this energetic stuff and see the alignment stuff and just recognize that people are doing the best with what they have, with the energy they have, it's a lot easier to have compassion. It's a lot easier to step back and go, I see you in your journey. That must be interesting, right? It must be hard. That must be difficult. That must be easy. No, those are all judgments. That must be interesting. You guys. So, yeah, one of these days I'll get it into a book. One of these days I'll get the energy signatures into a book. Because when we, and why I do these lives, part of why I do these lives, is it also helps me distill this information into an easily written out, okay, here's this section, here's this section, here's this section. A lot of times what I'm doing in here is sorting the ideas out within me as well. And your reflections help. For those of you who know anything about human design, which I don't know a lot, but I do know that it was spot the fuck on when it said my, authority is to respond. For years, I have been gathering information, I have been building this toolbox, and I've been using it for me mostly. But I thought that I was going to create a full text about all these tools and all these different things and put them into a book to deliver to people. When I tried to put all the information from all of my years of education and experience into this big textbook of some kind, it was a mess. I couldn't access the information. I couldn't compartmentalize it. I couldn't hang it on any kind of bones. It was just a fog that I couldn't quite access. But wouldn't you know it, one person comes to me and says, oh, my stomach feels funny. And out of nowhere, a mudra for the solar plexus, a suggestion for a food, and an herb or a breath work comes out from behind here. And I'm like, oh, well, here's your care package. Try this mudra, do this breath work, and wear this color. See if that helps. It's like the tools hop out only when you ask for them. I am not in control of that. I'm happy to be the vessel. I'm happy to be the transfer station. Wes, you're an expert in HD? Oh, in human design. I was like, HD? Editing? No, in human design. Reach out if you'd like info. Yeah. Yeah, I've got a couple people in my life who are kind of reflecting on design stuff. I'd be happy to trade you an astrology reading if you want to do my chart, because I do astrology and I understand that stuff. We just started a channel in our Discord for it, yeah. So if you want to join our Discord and share your wisdom, it would be really great. The link for the Discord, again, is in the link tree. Yay! Come join us in the Discord. We'll all chat. We'll all share our knowledge. We'll share our information, right? Instead of gatekeeping, instead of doing the money mindset thing where I'm charging thousands of dollars for information that honestly I'd be giving to you for free. Am I familiar with Gene Keys? I know that name. I've heard that name. Let's see, I've got another name here, so I'll add it to that post-it note. Yeah, Iraq and back. It is working. It's just not a link that you can click in my bio. So their link tree is there. It does work. It's the website. It's just that TikTok doesn't allow it to be a clickable link when I'm not a business account. So that's what I mean. I did a workshop on the chakras last year. And I think the way to put this information together is really just to start doing it in little workshops. Yeah, of course. Oh, the gene keys are associated with human design and the gates that are listed in your chart. Oh, okay. Yeah. Hola, Claybeard. It's not evening yet for me. It's almost 2 o'clock, though. So I am actually going to wrap up here. Again, for those of you who would like to join a safe space where we are discussing this information, sharing our challenges and our successes, learning from each other, practicing building community, practicing meeting each other from a place of value, from a place of recognition, and cultivating authenticity within ourselves, come join us in the Discord. Eventually, we are going to create a mindfulness app that's like an RPG game and all kinds of sorts of fun stuff. If you know how to make apps, if you know how to make games, please reach out to me. I really want to get this RPG created because I'd also like to put our community inside of the RPG game so that we can have a safe space, ultimately a safe space where we can practice these things together and do so as a community and support each other as a community. Faith, do I play games? I don't really, mostly because I am very particular about the content of the games. And so I really struggle to spend my time playing games when I don't feel like it's conducive. Again, remember that whole hellbent on growth? I try to make myself play games occasionally, like on the phone, just to chill. But I'm more likely to play a game by doing pranayama or a mudra or playing an energy game or something like that. So I really want to develop a RPG game that has the library of tools and that translates into real world practice and experience and then rewards you in that game for those things. Like I said, eventually I want to make this a nonprofit so that app hopefully will be able to be free without in-app purchases because, again, dollar is not king here. I'm not interested in feeding into a system that is not conducive to our well-being. I'm interested in changing that system. Keys to new earth, paradigm shifting, and we are collectively doing that shift. And each day we choose how much more we want to buy in to the current system or how much we're going to put our resources toward a new system. Wes, okay, did you try the Discord link on the link tree? And it says invalid? Leb, what you don't know is that when I'm sitting in group coaching and on the days where nobody comes, I'm just sitting there playing games in there. Okay, thank you, Wes. If you will just send me a message directly, Wes, myself, or Leb, I'm going to pin your comment here. And we will send you a direct link for it, and I will go fix the link tree. I keep making them links that aren't supposed to expire, but then they keep expiring, so I don't know what the deal is. But if you'll send me a message, I will send you a link. Again, if you want a link to anything, remember replays are on YouTube. I am Move with Change on every platform. Just follow me wherever you hang out, but I am live reliably on TikTok, YouTube, and then another place right now. It's actually been on Instagram, Kick, and Twitch as well. I hope you guys are doing fantastic over there. My name, for those of you who are new here, hello. I feel like I should have a background thing, but I've never that set up. My name is Reverend Deborah. I am an interfaith minister. I am a movement facilitator, movement in breath, body, and being, all the layers of self. And I have been dubbed, thank you, fantastic community, your shenanigan shaman, because we bring the shenanigans. And they are medicine. They are medicine. So yes, that is me. All of my content goes on TikTok because you can download stuff on TikTok, because you can interact with it, do edit, do all the fun stuff on TikTok. So all of my content goes on TikTok. We are now over 10,000 followers. So the more you guys interact with and share the content, the more these classes can actually pay for themselves. We got to 10,000 not through follow trains, not through, these kinds of like exchange sort of false things. I've been sharing information on this channel now for 2 years. And in those 2 years, since we started the channel, we have gotten over 10,000, mostly just free information, sharing content, and doing these lives. So I deeply appreciate the fact that you guys have been so engaged and so supportive. And I appreciate your continued support, and share the content. I am doing a new thing where I am pretty much dancing my way out of bed every morning, so feel free to look out for those and duet with me. The whole point is just to shake your body. It's not to do anything fancy or to dance in these particular way. It's just to encourage people to engage in some movement shenanigans. And then starting September 1st, which is on Sunday, we are starting a 40-day Kundalini Kriya. The 40-day Kriya is the Kriya for addiction. Kriya, or the Kriya for addiction meaning any habit that we perpetuate that tends to pull us off of balance. It can be any kind of habit, addiction sort of thing that pulls you off of balance. So it's a 40-day practice because it takes about 40 days to solidify a new habit into our lives. Thank you, Dory. They are amethyst, big amethyst pieces. Oh, and then these ones are kitty cats. So for the Kriya, I will do several things. One, I will be live at 10 a.m. Pacific time every single day. It's a 5-minute practice, so I'll be on for probably maybe 10 minutes, a little before, do the practice, maybe a little after. That'll be it. I will do it at the beginning of class on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. And then I will also, I have them already scheduled on YouTube. There are timer videos that will create the timer for you so that you can do your practice for the 5 minutes without having to look at a timer, without having to listen for another one. Listen for the ding or what have you, right? Or peek out and look at the clock. So watch for the timer videos. There is an instruction video. All these things are scheduled on YouTube. I have to manually post them here to TikTok. Your best bet is to go to YouTube and to follow the playlist and get notifications about the playlist, because everyone is going to open on a new day. On Saturday, tomorrow, the instruction video is going to come out. And then on Sunday at 10 a.m., I'm going to go live. I'm going to instruct live how to do the practice. We're going to do the practice together. And then every single day, that timer video will be there in case you want to do it on your own, or you can join us live at 10 a.m. That said, I think that means the replays will also be on YouTube for the live sessions. So if you want to not use the timer and catch the live at a later time, that'll all be available on YouTube. But the lives will absolutely be happening on TikTok and YouTube. Brad, your beauty is fading. It happens to us all, my dear. Your external beauty fades so your internal beauty can be seen. Right? I think that's all the things. If you have any questions, if you have any concerns, if you want to debate or support or encourage or what have you, feel free to send me a message. Check out all the things. Yeah, go to the link tree, check out all the things. If you have any questions, send me messages. Otherwise, I'll see you in the Discord. And, in the Discord, we are streaming tonight at 4 o'clock. We stream every Friday night at 4 o'clock. We are probably going to go back to doing some Gaia. If you guys know Gaia.com, they've got some really cool esoteric / spirituality / mindfulness / ancient history, that kind of stuff. And I have a membership, so I am able to stream them to the Discord. So we're going to be watching one of those tonight. It starts at 4, so I got 2 hours to have myself a snack and then to start the stream. So the Discord link, I would say it was on my link tree, but apparently that one's expired. So send You can send me a message, Faith. I'm going to go, as soon as I get off, I'm going to go fix the Linktree one right now, okay? So give me 5 minutes, maybe 10, and then go check the Linktree, okay? Linktree/move with change. It's also on my Patreon page, patreon.com/move with change. That one I haven't heard is broken, so that one might still be working. Otherwise, just send me a message. Okay, now I'm really going to go. I love you guys so much. Have a good night, Twitch. Have a good night, Kick. The dog's moving. He's like, oh, we're done. Have a good night, Instagram.